Button.
Bless me.
Welcome back to Exalted 3rd Edition, Crimes of Nature. Last time, the crew got off the Blessed Isle with all of their limbs in roughly the right places. You know, for certain definitions of right for some of them. But the trip off the Isle and away from the politics on it and the spat of violence that had erupted near the end was about as smooth as they could have hoped for. And the ongoing boat ride, which will take about 2 months, about 3 weeks of that has passed by now. The boat so far has made it past Nexus, and several things have gone on in the past 3 weeks. Old man learned how to turn into birds. That was a thing. Milana's learning how to turn into birds. And there was a pirate action taken against a slaver ship in which a Ladal Shireen rather just impulsively enacted as well in just kicking the whole thing over and taking all of the slaves out of it and liberating them into the ship and taking care of them, and then dealing with the post-high of just, oh god, I actually just committed violence against a god. Oh no.
There was a fair and equitable transaction between two self-interested parties.
Exactly.
On the river of ideas.
One silver coin was exchanged for the life of the man who was the bosun, and totally not a Jiangxi. Well, totally a Jiangxi, actually, was the one who did it. Absolutely nothing to do with Dragonbloods. Totally had to be Dracula's. Yes, sir.
And a god was reminded what happens when you favor one specific vessel, I assume.
Mm-hmm. The god was reminded of the insurance policies one should take when you are dealing with trade in Nexus. So, the river travel continues apace. It is still a little over a month before you're going to get back to near the 100 Kingdoms area. So there is still plenty of stuff to be done. Time to kill, conversations to have, projects to undertake, fish to catch, birds to harass you.
Birds,
all kinds.
Birds,
fish.
20,000 tons of crude oil.
So,
do we have any plans on the boat?
I had one thing I wanted to go over, and this was kind of like, it might have been happening a few weeks ago because of how long we've been on the trip.
The time is kind of in a elastic state during the skip forward.
Wibbly wobbly. Yeah, I gotcha. So, at some point, Angler's going to find... I was about to say Koi. Wrong person. Let's try that again. Cass. And he's going to make a proposition to teach her a new martial arts style.
She would raise her eyebrow, but agree, questioning what exactly it is.
Well, I met a friend, and a friend, and a friend, and I learned a little bit of a certain style, and I think it's time you had something a little bit more concrete to your arsenal.
Okay. Just immediately getting the insinuation of don't ask questions, but alright.
Yeah, and Angler's going to take off his metal boots and store them somewhere, and is immediately going to assume the water dragon stance.
Would you recognize that in sight? Could you link me her sheet in the tabula again?
I will grab her sheet real fast. Okay, send it over to you right now.
Go, thank you very much.
Her read intent, well, I don't know, never mind.
Respond to the audience conversation. People have been making use of non-fossil oils since forever. Plant oil, meat oil.
Rendering oil is...
Occasional rock oil that's just readily available near the surface in some geologic areas.
Yeah, the paradigm shift around rock soil was development of ways to get to the rock soil.
To dig deeper than ever before, to get at the deep
It was
sip.
very cost prohibitive to get what little there is in grabbing reach as opposed to drilling reach. Why? Her eyebrows just kind of shoot up, but it's an immediate kind of like, okay. She's not actually too surprised. After all, you are hanging around with a heretic priest, and she's like, it's the threshold. Who knows out there? So very much is now willing to be like, okay, I'm not going to turn this down.
Yep, and he would ask to make it a daily thing in the morning, evening, whenever she feels comfortable with it on the deck. And if anyone else wants to join in and learn the style, they can. The angler's not going to try to hide it. But she knows that she's very good at imitating and learning moves quickly, so this is a good time to do it.
Right, yeah, no, like that would be just a montage of training. And Shireen...
Right, that's the other person I was thinking of, and I just remembered. If she wanted to join in or anything like that, she is fully able to do so.
Thinking of the intimacies I've had written down for her and thinking of how she would react to being proposed to be trained to this.
Yeah, sure. And you want to do some illegal kung fu?
I wouldn't phrase it that way. It's just more a matter of, would you like to learn this style?
Which she recognizes as one of the immaculate held styles, and you are not a monk. She would be very uncomfortable with the offer, but to not make a big deal with it at first. But she would eventually go to quietly watching it. She would not participate, but she would watch.
And that's all I can ask for. I don't know if Granite would like to learn as well. I believe they have their own styles, Tiger and what have you, but...
I mean, Granite's not going to turn down the offer to learn an immaculate style, what are you kidding?
Yeah, I know, but it's just the options are available. I'm okay with training anybody in it.
They would be assisting with that, and you would probably have the kids interested in learning the basic forms, even if they can't get into the spiritual aspects of it.
Exactly. It's family bonding, but also anyone else who wants to join in totally can do so. Like, any of the crew wants to just see how it goes, I'd be fine with that as well.
Mm-hmm. So, that would be one of the major things that goes on over the next month-ish. Now, I know there was a couple of other long-term agenda bits to get at that you all were thinking of. And I was wondering if you wanted to bring any of those up before I zip forward to other incidences that happened along the river.
Well, one thing that Repose will start routinely asking about and keeping track of after we've been on the water for a while is he already, as part of his own routines, is very aware of the current date. Keeping the calendar is what you do as clergy. He'll be very routinely, just as a daily thing, asking for a fresh estimate of how far we are from getting back.
Mm-hmm.
Just maintaining a rolling sense of that.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely not volunteering any specific reasons that he might become increasingly unconcerned about upcoming days during this season.
Every time he walks up to Obsidian and asks, he sort of shrugs. I don't know, month? It is consistently the same answer every morning, except like it would update like maybe once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, it'll be about 2 weeks. The contractors lie.
Very low resolution scheduling.
Mm-hmm.
We are one island time from our destination.
Mm-hmm.
I have a thing I'd like to establish about how Yang is doing things.
Sure.
So you know that thing ninjas do where they have a kite they strap themselves to?
Yes.
I want to just like tie myself to the mast and just sort of fucking vibe and be above the boat and sketching. And if I see anything, looks particularly robbable or like, oh man, that's definitely where some prepper put a geocache or some shit. Like those two vibes.
Hmm.
Just scouting the shoreline and or
Trying for
muggable
adventure.
boats.
Checking for collectibles that are near the main path.
Yes.
Pretty much.
So, give me a wits awareness roll, I guess. Perception awareness roll.
I think that's a 10.
Yeah, one die stunt as well for using, just vibing with a kite.
That's pretty good.
All right. It's awkward at first to get used to kite surfing, especially when the wind. Ideally, when the wind is with your back, you would be flying in the wrong direction, or you'd be flying ahead of the boat. So there's some finagling to get the kite in the right position where you are controlling it without getting thrown out to sea or being smashed into the deck. But once you get the actual hang of it, it's pretty easy to just stay up there in a good windy day. There are a couple of moments where the crew and Shireen are kind of looking up with you with a fair bit of concern of like, okay, so what happens if you go into the water? Like, will you catch up? Do we stop?
I'm Spider-Man. It's fine.
But yeah. There's probably at least one incident where you grasping rope find yourself out of a dangerous situation.
Oh, I had more than one incident. Definitely.
Mhm.
The first time he shrieks. Every other time after that, just like fuck.
Dang it!
The first time Angler's already diving overboard to try to get to Yang and then pops up and sees the vine and goes, "Oh, right, you do that.
Right.
Fuck. I got wet again for no reason."
Yang is able to see a couple of things majorly on this leg of the journey. First of all, you're able to like preemptively call out like river dragons and like large, like giant prehistoric sized crocodiles and things like that. And just be like, hey, that one looks hungry. Let's not, or let's do, or whatever you feel like.
If I see a particularly cute one, I'll be like, yo, stop and let me sketch that.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of good practice at sketching like landscapes and creatures, especially on the banks. You're getting a couple of really good like vistas of long herd migration stuff. It's about the time of year where a lot of migration is going on. And then there is one day, about when it's about exactly a month-ish, as you have passed by Great Forks, that you are high enough in the sky, and the river is clear enough in the water. It is daylight as you are going by this time, but you are high enough up to actually look to the bottom of the ocean, the river, and see the derelict ship with the skeletons that you passed by the first time you were here.
Huh.
So you are able to note down exactly where they are on the map and actually get a pretty good sketch of them and their stuff. And from your vantage point, you're actually able to see that you can't quite tell because it is a fairly deep way into the river, but you do have exalted perception. They seem to have gotten some more stuff. And it doesn't quite look like they looted somebody, more like somebody else gave them a supply drop. There's a couple of better weapons. Their boat looks a little more patched up. Their bones look like they have been actively repaired a little bit with pastes and bandages. It looks like somebody has actually come by and given them some reassistance and repairs on the bones on the top side of reality.
I'm gonna call down to the crew. Hey, I found party boat. We want to go say hi.
Party boat? Shireen asks.
Repose will be standing at the base of the rope, looking up disapprovingly and starting to slowly reel Yang back in.
Hey, wait a minute. No, it's cool up here.
Reeling in slightly faster, continuing to look disapprovingly.
Oh, come on.
Cass, in the middle of the training, just kind of leans over to Angler. Is this something that he's more angry about than usual, or is he just being himself?
Yes.
Got it. And then just kind of goes back to practicing the katas.
And Repose will just reel Yang in close enough to give him just the very lightest of a disapproving headbutt, make out stern eye contact for a moment, and then release the rope and let him fly back off again.
Ugh.
So yeah, because it is the middle of the day, they are at rest. They are not going to be coming up into the sun. So
Oh, okay. Yes.
Just gonna say a silent prayer for my friends. Namaste. Glad you're doing your best out there.
So, yeah. Roughly yonder square is where Party Boat lies. I will write that down.
To the east of Great Forks.
Skeletons.
Oh, I just had an idea for a small scene.
Mm-hmm.
Last time you mentioned Shirin uses air dragon style, right?
Had been introduced to Terror Dragon style.
Same. I want to bring that up with her. That hey, I noticed you had a bit of air dragon style.
Hey, so is that air dragon style?
Bradwell,
Oh,
you're
you
the
do-
best. Don't listen to these idiots. You're the best.
You box around here often?
She just kind of lights up a little bit. Yes, I was introduced to the basics of the style as part of my introductory admission to the temple. Of course, the higher mysteries of it and the full form of the entire set, of course, was going to be taught over a longer period of time. So
Well,
God, he's
same
so
actually.
adorable.
I had mentioned there was that one period where I was forced to be in the Immaculate Order. I picked up a little bit of air dragon style as well.
she kind of lights up a little bit about that. It's just, oh,
Do you want to spar?
stare, kind of head tilt. Is that? Shouldn't it be a master who teaches? Are we allowed?
I mean, we both know the basics, right? So it wouldn't hurt to refine our knowledge of the basics?
I suppose it would be a way of keeping it from falling from active memory, yes. Alright. And to just generally represent how the spar goes, I'm going to ask you to roll dexterity throw.
All
for
right.
Martial arts. Oh no!
No! Oh no!
Wait. That's okay. No, that's fine. You did 60,
Oh,
10,
that's 7S.
8 ups.
Right. Okay, that's not a botch. That's 3 successes, not
Okay. Whew.
Oh, I'm down to roll 20. Knew I was forgetting something.
I was very concerned I threw Shirin overboard.
She threw herself overboard.
No, that was going to be the botch event would have been her picking up something very large on the deck, trying to throw it, and then stumbling over. But with 3 successes, she's able to keep up with you pretty well. But you can tell that number one, they didn't really go too deep into most of the actual they gave her this is how it looks like to do it, and this is how some of the basic moves that you're expected to practice on your own, and then just literally went no further. And also, like, the martial aspect of her priesthood didn't seem like something that she was overtly focusing on. There was a lot of more focus on the scholarship in her time that you can expect. So you're able to both, like, practice throwing style with each other, trying to match each other's movements, and, like, stick knives in a far wall or something that's been set up, hit a target, or, you know, curve
Aim for Yang's kite.
No, she would reject that. She would overtly.
I know.
And like a couple of ones where it's like, okay, now try to throw the knife so it will like bend around a barrel and hit a target on the back end of it, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like it is clear that she notices that you are better at it than her, and doesn't seem surprised, but still seems a little kind of ashamed about it.
At this, I would offer not like, oh, here's how you do it better, but give a talk about experiences I've had out in the Hundred Kingdoms, having to use it to fight, and just learning by practice, by actual application.
She would nod and take into account and actually bring up more wanting to practice together to just kind of keep each other in tune and things like that.
Oh my god, this is the cutest shit.
We're bonding over martial arts, over
Fucking-
boxing.
Fucking dorks.
Yeah.
Also, as a reminder for Chet, she is a grown woman, so
Yep.
Martial artists communicate through their fists.
She's like a few years younger than. Actually, she's older than Yang, isn't she?
she is older than Yang. Like, remember, Yang is baby, if
Yang's
anything.
baby.
There is
Like-
like a 2-year difference between her and Milan.
Yeah. As an aside, for what it's worth, Obsidian may still refer to her, not refer to her as a child, but treat her as like
Younger, because you're like
younger,
6.
because yeah, I'm like 3 times her age.
The way Yang treats it is that, like, well, okay, someone is stepping out of a sheltered environment for the first time, so they need some training wheels. Not
Yes.
to be babied at all, but just like,
Mhm.
you need to be prepared for what's out there.
Yes.
You went through 4 years of college and have 0 application to actually use this in the real world. Let's show you how to actually use your degree.
There are
Yes.
3 generations present on this ship. Old man, Obsidian, everyone else.
Yes. And everyone else has a slight ceiling when it comes to, like, Repose and Angler being like closer to their 30s, but in the scheme of Dragon Bloods, that's nothing.
And to point out, even though we could be called babies, we're also quite competent in what we do,
Yes.
Shred included.
Mhm.
Point
I get-
to her amazing role in the bathhouse.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a slight pushback on the term because sometimes the term can be used to infantilize people when they
I'm about ready to tell the robot to automatically slap anyone who uses the word. Don't make me open the control panel.
Yes. Anyway, moving on. The next thing that would be
The
coming up-
rookie
That's a better, yeah.
People.
There you go.
Mhm.
the junior.
You must be embarrassing about the Kohai.
Can I have the robot slap Sana?
Yeah, go ahead. I deserve that one.
Onyx, if you would.
Wrong robot.
Hey, you set it up. I'm just gonna continue to go through with it.
Let me
Anyways.
re-rail my brain for a moment. So yeah, skeleton visit. Further on,
Skeleton
More-
sighting.
Skeleton warriors.
Remain constantly up to date as to the difference between the amount of boating time left before we get back
about 3
Current date.
weeks.
and the
And hang on, let me just update that then. So the current date would now be ascending Earth or resplendent Earth 11, and it is about 3 weeks until you get back.
which should be fine. There's still very subtly increasing volumes of agitated buzzing, occasionally
Everybody
emerging
give
from repose.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Give a-
okay, at
give a
this
read
point, I'm
atten-
gonna make a read intentions.
a read intentions on Repose at this point.
I'll roll a raw reintention. No buffs.
Do I get a bonus for kinda already knowing what it might be?
Yes.
Well, you can all get the innate
What's wrong
bonus
with
that
my
is
good
in there
brother? Cousin.
for looking back over at the intimacies list. All right, one that his one defining tier intimacy is his loyalty to his family and their traditions. And over there at Major 2, that my word is flexible but unbreakable. That alongside his usual community, his usual personality and level of diligence about things, Propose is getting increasingly tense about the possibility of missing some kind of appointment. Propose is very serious about keeping schedules for important days.
Worried for my brother. Said you might approach Repose and be like, hey, is there a... Did the trip happen upon a bad time of the year? Do you need to be somewhere?
Awkward vibrations.
Awkward vibrations, awkward.
At this point, like Moat is on the band, like the railing of the ship, just kind of opening one eye sleepily as the tip of the tail starts to twitch up and down, just kind of like.
raising an eyebrow at the silence.
There will be a bunch of filler mumbling will fill up that is the usual preambles to getting a Repose to say anything. He is possibly weighing his options between letting this conversation start and just kind of falling off of the boat for a while.
Wow, I've had days like that.
Yang is just probably working on like the mahjong or like the centrifuge down at the bottom of the boat, and just suddenly feels like, God, same though. In the heart
It's
connection.
really relatable for some reason. I don't know what's up with that.
So, man overboard?
Well, all right, so I will put forward here, throw some influence dice to educate whether we're going to,
Does this need to be crowbarred out or not?
What kind of role would that be?
just any choice of social attack, charisma,
All right.
presence, or socialize, or perform.
I'm gonna say this is a charisma attack from Obsidian Shield. That's a 10
Any of your
D10.
social pulls
Yeah,
in this
he's very
situation?
good at being like, hey, come on.
Take
What's
your
going
pick.
on?
Yeah, just
Not that great.
And resolve for repose.
Yeah, resolve for repose is much.
I just don't remember where that is on your sheet.
I believe I have it listed over in the fight block. Base resolve 4.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I
Just-
couldn't even willpower that up.
Ain't nothing doing out of that. Repose is not opening up to this.
So you get the usual amount of wind up and stammering, but it settles on it. It's nothing. It's fine.
You sure?
And some, then shuffling away to make this conversation over. And then, like, hours later in that day, Repose reapproaches you after, like, an appropriate amount of reset time. Nonchalant again. And begin with, it has occurred to me that if any among us had any pressing business that they felt in urgent need of attendance in the kingdoms, we are drawing nearer to the distance where it would be reasonable for an advance party to head out by air.
I am kind of worried about the situation in the kingdoms. Especially after the letter that we got from our friends.
Yes, all of that news will need addressing.
Hey, Obsidian.
Mm-hmm.
Roll read intentions on the cat.
Read intentions is socialize, right?
The witch socialize, yes.
With socialize? I thought
Oh,
read
it's
intentions.
Perception use.
Yeah. because it's a considerably bad
Yes,
roll
yes,
for me
yes.
as a socialized roll.
Perception socialize.
I'm gonna take this with the 2 auto successes. Oh, 60, 10, greater than. Thank you. So that's a 5.
Moat is looking at Repose with the look of, I understand that you want to evade, but this is the one person on this boat you can talk. This is a very expressive cat. It is a familiar. You just get the sense of the cat is looking at Repose like, come the one person that you can talk to, and you're trying to backpedal out of this. You have never seen a cat quite look disappointed like this.
Repo. Sir, there's something else. Come on. I'm not gonna tell anyone. It looks you in the eyes. Come on. Out of everyone, I know how to keep secrets.
Repose can feel the traitorous aura of a smug cat behind him.
The rogue. The scoundrel. Rose will, slide a hand back and collect Mode.
Come on, you even
In
found
place
out
mode.
yourself. We're practically cousins.
There is a very self-satisfied flick of the tail at that statement from the Obsidian.
Propose will just kind of firmly press Mode into place on his shoulder. Just like with one finger, just like, no. Just convey I am displeased with you, but only at a playful level of poking at you.
Mode is aware of what I have done is a crime, but I also have no remorse.
There's going to be further in-character awkward pause about this, long enough that perhaps any other character could hope to intrude in this situation as it is unfolding.
Yeah. If other people would be on the top deck and notice Repose just being incredibly awkward off in a corner with Obsidian just kind of crossing arms and going, come on.
Milan is already
Come
on
on.
Stormwind Rider. Just kind of floating in the background.
Why are you on the Stormwind Rider on the boat?
He's practicing.
Okay.
It's practicing magic, not getting ready to facilitate leaving on an adventure.
Right, okay.
You could
If
step
only
in,
someone had a
but-
special
All right,
need
here we
for
go.
false
Yeah.
talk.
The silence goes on for like another minute or two. Obsidian would just sigh and be like, all right. Obviously, you don't want to say anything. That's fine.
All right. The out of character delay is a matter of I am getting the the Google Doc version of the calendar
Oh.
open so I can go and look up and remind myself.
Okay.
It's on Descending 6th.
Descending 8th, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventually Repose will reach the level of outward he can be about this. Hand on shoulder, close, quietly, in confidence. Ominous.
I'm not switching
the
this.
extreme danger of discussing personal information.
The mortifying ordeal of being seen, the theme.
Oh no. But Repose will eventually just be willing to say, on the 8th of Descending Earth,
Obsidian leaning in, very, very serious. This is something my brother has been very quiet about.
The 8th of descending earth. I should be at home. Among my people. And I would invite each of you, as my brothers, to share in that day. At that place. And just kind of trail off before being told to include out loud a reason for why.
Moat just kind of leans against your face, like the left, like the right side of Repose's very stock still face. The cheek just starts getting taken up entirely by the side of a cat leaning in, just kind of like.
I don't know what skill I would have to roll to figure this out. Like, probably wits, but like,
Probably
I don't know.
like wits investigation or something.
Oh, good. I think I have a none in investigation.
I mean, this is exactly the thing that Obsidian is not good at, so.
Okay, wait, hold up. Base the response off of the roll. Also, none charms in this, so I can't buff it anyway. Holy shit!
Wait a minute. Somebody's a birthday boy.
All right, the follow-up. What do I have to roll to not laugh?
You can choose if you laugh or not.
No, this is a legitimate thing.
Roll your willpower.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, there we go.
Your willpower, yeah.
Okay. Oh, did I do a 10 or no? Okay. There
Perfect composure.
is a slight like snicker when Obsidian realizes, but like very, very, very subtle. Just oh my god, this idiot. Okay. Okay. What day is it today? More or less.
Today, let me double check the calendar I have on. Yeah, today is the
Just
11th of the Resplendent.
Okay.
11th of.
So just for me, because I really don't know Exalted days, and I don't have
It's
the thing
most
open.
of a month.
All right.
Yeah, it
All
is
the months are the same length.
Yeah.
All right. So the follow up. Sona. Darren. With sail. Let's see how far out we are.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do I have that open? I do not. One moment. My cheat sheet. Hello, you. Do I even have this? Hold up. Follow up. Filter. Okay, I do. All right. This is with 2 auto successes. Hold that thought.
Mm-hmm.
One.
I think it. Yeah, I think it
Yeah,
busted.
something dropped out of that.
So it just won't
Well,
be- I don't know if that would force it to set to 1 because of how your formatting was. as well.
yeah, let's.
Yeah.
Hold up. Hold up.
My God.
Am I?
Hey,
Am I?
two.
Newbie, please.
All right, so that's just 3 successes.
Very human die. So, you think about it for a moment and you start plotting out, okay, likely weather on the way there, current pushed back, wind's at our side at the moment. probably about 4 to 5 days of leeway at most. Like, you will get there in time with about 4 days to spare if something doesn't take 4 days out of the trip in terms of setbacks. So tight, but
Yeah,
unless really bad happens, it's probably going to be okay.
we'll just turn to repose. Outside of something very bad happening, delaying us anyway, we should get there with like 4 or 5 days to spare. No problem.
I have an idea. I would like to use elemental concentration trance to establish a fact about the weather.
Go right ahead.
Let's see, mental attribute plus. I'm going to use specifically bureaucracy in this aspect.
All right. You're going to have to justify how. But... So what is the fact that you are introducing?
So, the god of birthdays has a close rapport with the god of winds.
God of birthdays.
And they want to see that every birthday happens on time. So the gods will this boat to arrive on time.
Sure. Go ahead and roll.
That's
A
an
space snuck in
interesting
there.
Oh,
Three.
space.
That's 3 successes, which it makes sense that the gods of the elements and the gods of celebrating your birth would have some sort of rapport because of dragon bloods. So yeah, that actually tracks. And also, one thing that had not been directly invoked but is relevant to this is that the Hearthstone from the Manse that Onyx is from is fuck if I remember the name of it. It is the one that makes it so you have calm weather around your boat.
Mm-hmm.
So, unless it is literally a supernatural storm gets in your way, you're not actually going to have a weather. So
Yeah,
like,
Obsidian still doesn't realize that.
yeah,
And even
That
if
is-
that were brought up, Propose is still just kind of maintaining a single prolonged if, rising internally nervously. Yeah, everything should be fine.
should be.
In the case that something happens, you could take one of our turbo clouds back.
Which Milan is hovering on right now.
Yeah, with gesture over at Milan. Like if we get delayed 5 days, which that'd have to be pretty bad on the ocean. And cloud's right there. You can get back on time. Again,
Of course, if anyone else had any other business, there are many reasons we might wish to.
we could get Cascade back faster.
Seeing
How
the
many people-
brothers congregating over there, Angler would eventually make his way over. All right, what's going on?
Well, alright, so I'll also propose there that Propose now being done with engaging this will just be like, I should ask around, and then just gives kind of a wave downward of his hand, and pocket sand just emerges from his palm, and then just cloud of shock smoke, and he's out of there.
Mode is on the ground where Repose used to be, just looking very surly, just like,
I would lean over to Angler.
You're freaking me out. What's going on right now?
It's his birthday and he's shy.
Do you know if there's something with his religion with his birthday?
No clue.
Okay. Also, hold on. Yeah, hey. Yeah, hi, Cat. What?
The cat would know.
What? Oh, right, Magic Cat. Moat, do you have some information on this?
a single thump of the tail.
Could you show it to us?
One blink.
I think that's yes.
Only any of you knew how to talk to animals directly.
Hold on a second. And Angler jumps overboard and comes back with a fish and gives it to Moat. Okay, does that help?
It is already out of your hands before you even have your feet on the deck. It is now you have completely distracted the cat too well. Moat is now no longer paying attention to you.
If only we had a way to know about the birthday for Repose.
Moat
Only
kind of,
any of you knew how to directly talk to animals.
if only somebody in this group had a charm.
If only.
The crime is unsolvable.
I would wave over. Do I know that you have that charm?
Who?
You?
Does Yang actually have one?
Does Yang
Does-
have that? I don't know.
What?
Can Yang talk to animals?
No.
Okay.
You don't have
Only
that. You don't
anyone
have
in
that.
this group knew how to directly talk to animals. What a shame.
Moat. Give me a sec.
I'm super dumb, so.
What would that even be under?
Survival.
Oh,
No.
Oh, great. Never mind.
Moat draws himself up over the already mostly disemboweled and deboned fish, licking a paw, thinking for a moment before just like visibly kind of like looks up into the sky near the sun, but not directly at it. You get the sudden sensation this isn't a cat that is sassing you. This is a cat going, I already answered your fucking question. How do I make this clearer? And then looks back at you very expectantly.
I'm a re-intentions on Moat.
Mm-hmm.
Can't talk to Moat. Can't assume anything about Moat. That's 2 successes. Also, I'm out of personal.
Looks
amounts.
like maybe Moat wants
You've
you
been
to ask her.
spending essence on this?
I don't like failing.
How are you not at full?
Yeah, exactly.
We've been on the
No,
water for
Personal.
weeks.
Personal.
We've been on the water for weeks. You should be at full power.
Yes,
Yeah,
my
the personal pool is pretty shallow. It doesn't
yeah,
take long
personal's
to,
like 14. What are you talking about?
If you are throwing full excellencies with your personal mode so you don't flare, it runs out pretty quick.
Okay.
Alright, fair.
I've done 3 excellency checks already.
The captain's kind of winded. He's been looking at a cat all morning.
Fair.
Yeah.
I mean, having had cats most of my life, trying to understand what they are up to sometimes is exhausting. But Obsidian's best guess, looking at the incredibly now unblinking stare back of Moat, is maybe ask the questions again? Slower?
I'm gonna walk up above deck after deciding to take a break on my schematics. Do I just see you staring at a fucking cat?
You are seeing 3 grown men in a stare down with a cat.
Did Moat get possessed or something?
Mo turns to look to Yang, and just the ears pivot forward and the eyes dilate slightly. And Yang can know the body language of cats enough to just go, that is the look of a cat going, oh, thank God.
What? Alright, where are they trying?
Mo trots up and then kind of head bumps you in the shins, and then looks back to the other 2, and then to Yang, and then back to the other 2.
Okay, so they're not getting something then, huh? Okay. what-
We've figured out that
But the cat whisperers here. Let them work.
So what was the
There's actually a flattening of the ears towards Angler.
Angler, we have to give him information so that he can figure out the question that we're trying to figure out.
right now? What's the topic of conversation?
Repose's birthday's coming up, and he's being very coy about it, not like the person, like, shy.
Ear flattening at that as well.
And look, but anyway, He's being very shy about it. We think it might be like, close to his beliefs or something. We're trying to get that out of the cat. And I think yes, but anyway, what do you think?
Can I read intentions on the cat?
Yes.
What did Liz read intentions again?
Perception socialize.
Okay.
You get a 1 die stunt on this because you just innately know
It
cats.
might also make sense to use to substitute survival for the skill side of that.
Yeah,
out of
actually, yeah, survival will work.
understanding a beast's.
So, perception survival?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's a lot. That's a very big number.
Oh man, this is the best part of the session so far. I've had to mute myself 3 times. I've been laughing.
It's 1 for yes and 2 for no. You
Yeah,
fucking
I
idiot.
know, of course.
Yeah.
I said yes, it has to do with his religion, and you just ignored me. How do I make this clearer?
Okay, you deserve a little bit of a treat. So I'm gonna set this up for you now. It's gonna get more complicated from here out. I'm gonna find a crate and find 4 glass bottles and line them up neatly in a row. Relates to his religion's crafting. This one relates to his religion's duty, and then we're just gonna line off 4 distinct ballparks. It could be about what we're looking for here. Just knock whichever one is right.
There is a kind of bewildered stare as this is now starting to approach Rote's ability to actually process the abstract concepts and keep them all in head. And then you have to go back and point. Crafting. No. Religious practice. Slight nudge of the bottle. Family. Smacks the bottle off the boat.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I'll go get the bottle.
A little bit about his religion, a little bit about his family.
Looks around carefully to make sure nobody else is hearing too much. It's probably a ghost thing, right?
Meow.
Yeah.
Is he coming of age?
Boat turns to look at Angler, and there is this distinct look in the cat's eyes of, what?
Angler, you've come of age, right?
No, I mean, is he taking over?
Ah. Looks at the cat.
Mo picks up the fish and walks away.
I'm gonna take that as a no.
My work here is done.
I'm just watching this happen.
Oh, tried. The tolls are strange.
I'm
Baffling.
going to dismiss the Stormwind Rider and go below deck. I'm done here.
See Moat walk away. I'm gonna stare at them. Go fishing. Put a fish in my mouth and fucking walk away indignant.
It's probably just an tradition thing. But one that's very important to him.
Exactly, and that's really... If it's very important to Repose and Repose doesn't want to talk about it, then we'll leave it be, and Repose can tell it to us if Repose thinks it's important.
Oh, he did say that we could come.
Okay, that's great, but I'm not gonna go ferreting too much into the information, especially because A, it's way too much fun to bandy with that cat, and B, Repose seems to be a little embarrassed about it, so let's not go at it.
Sure.
To get a reminder here, how many passenger seats are there on Milan's Stormwind Rider?
It
It's
is.
Essence +1?
Let me look it up.
I thought it was +2.
It might be.
Is Essence plus something, including the pilot?
Stormwind Rider.
Because we stopped paying attention to that the moment that the capacity was enough for the team. with
Essence
two
times
wizards.
2 additional riders.
So
So I
6
can-
more. Okay.
I can carry
6.
6 people.
I'm not
So-
proposing this, but this is more of a logistics question. Do the twins count as 1 in terms of total weight?
Added together, do they make up 100
I would
pounds?
I would allow that. Yeah.
Okay. Not saying one way or another. It's just more of that
A
just
curiosity.
occurred to me. Yeah.
As an aside, Obsidian probably wouldn't take the thing, the cloud home.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, he's gonna make sure
Or
that
the
his
captain
crew
of the
gets.
boat.
Yeah,
He needs to drive the boat.
We already
He's
had a
driving the boat.
situation where we pulled into a port and we didn't say who the captain was and got into trouble. Let's not do that a second time.
The down below Repose has a slate set up on an easel where has drawn out 6 spaces. He's preparing the diagram you would use to plan. Alright, so if a party of us were to break off and go do something else, and another party of us stay with the convoy, and then opening the discussion to the folks who are below decks.
Meanwhile, Moat comes in with a disemboweled headless fish being dragged by the tail between his legs.
Good cat.
Yeah, Shireen is like sitting and watching cross-legged to the diagram discussion.
And in getting the diagram started as well, he is outlining some of the points of stuff that is going on in the region. Some amount of that has probably already been discussed otherwise, but he is refreshing on a briefing of where the convoy will be going.
Right.
Of how
Rough
close
out.
the convoy can even get boat-wise to the destination, because it's going to take a bit to then unload and mobilize the stuff in the convoy across the remaining distance from the canal to the city.
Well, if you go to Grey Falls, then it's direct. But if it's to the Vigil Town as your first stop, that would be open.
Well, the canal from Grey Falls goes some amount of distance into the adventure block,
Yes.
and then
it goes up to about the square and then stops.
yeah. So regardless, there is still an additional stretch
Right.
and planning related to there.
So, what would the priorities of people wanting to go early before boat lands at actual area be, or would you want to wait until boat gets there?
I'm not getting off this boat.
Milan is facilitator of travel.
I mean, Yang's probably just going to be passively doing work.
Angler's
Propose
okay with
will-
staying on the ship, but he definitely thinks that Cass needs to go ahead if we're going to be doing this kind of bit.
Yeah, Propose will be proactive and quite ready to lead with introducing to the other folks here, since it's his business, it probably hasn't come up in conversation before, but that he has recently they've been through the stories, they've heard about Blood Fight, and that Repose has taken into his responsibilities the process of rebuilding and purifying and otherwise beginning to maintain the Trident River Valley, which is, just the next place over from where you will all be settling. And being that it has now been much of a season since he initially entered and made his preliminary inspections and asserted his authority, it is about the appropriate length of time for any dissident elements to believe that they now have the opportunity to get up to mischief while he has been away. So, for his own part, the definite first and only reason that he might want to get back there early is because you don't let that kind of thing fester.
Yep.
There was a quite serious outbreak of unpleasantness, and you don't allow any risk of that happening again. There's holidays all over the year, and he will also definitely volunteer up that. Well, actually, around the current day when this is happening is peak of Earth season.
Yeah, this is about Dampus equivalent of
Which
Right
would be
around.
all the more reason to want to get back there by the weekend and make some kind of showing. Especially when the incident was about the previous occupier defiling a high season.
Darkness. So, Angler and family would want to be dropping off. Repose would be wanting to go to Trident River Valley, and absolutely no other ulterior motives.
Just
Obsidian
the
staying,
valley.
on the boat. Yang probably would just vibe with whatever needs to go, unless you have your own plans.
Nah, I'm free ball.
Trident
Again,
River
English didn't say
is-
he would go. It's just more he wanted his family, or at least Cass and
The twins.
the twins if they can. If not, they can stay with him. But at least Cass.
Because
Is-
right now it's looking at Cass, Twins, Repose, Milan is the party that will be going, which is enough to go on one cloud so far.
Question: Is Trident
the
River?
children, a fox, and a bag of crayon.
God. Go on, Obsidian.
I was gonna ask: Is Trident River what used to be?
That used to be
The-
Bronze Axe.
Okay. I have difficulty remembering every place's name.
That's the North River Valley.
For what it's
What was
worth,
fallen
Obsidian
is the
is
southern
also
one.
worried about Trident River. It just,
Boat.
boat.
Alright. Question would be, would you bring Shireen along or just have her on the boat as well for now? And out of character, when are you going to be priming her about the more sensitive stuff? Because that's,
Oh, I had a scene for that, by the way.
okay.
But we can get that when we get there.
Okay. It's kind of also in Repose's domain of having wanted to talk about stuff before settling her in the region.
I suppose that conversation would then begin with
But that was the other thing, is I didn't want to step on any other character's feet. But in Obsidian's head, there is, thought to be had, as she has been very, like, X is bad, Y is good in her mentality.
So how have you been holding up over the voyage so far?
I'm appreciating the sparring lessons with Milan. The nature and the scenery out here is quite different from the Isle, especially as we go out further east. I knew we would be approaching the pole of wood, and I feel silly of me to say this, but I didn't quite expect this many trees. And I know that if we go even further, there'd be even more and even more large ones. But it's just so much more alive. On living in the Imperial City for a lot of my life disconnected me from the element of wood, I would think, and it's lovely to see a lot of it be in harmony with the area around it, out in this direction. So that's good. I'm not going to make you read intentions to notice that she's kind of talking around how she's personally feeling.
Mm-hmm. And I suppose I know the broad strokes of what I'm aiming to go for here,
Yes.
but not the details. All right, so I suppose non-dialogue questions to go over as so like in terms of general level of stress, how has Shireen been doing? Has she been spending more time in barrel, less?
Less occasionally goes
Day-to-day.
back into a barrel to recharge, or just because finds comfort in it, but has been more willing to be on top deck with Milan to do practice or be around the crew and observe, and just has been trying to stay out of the way unless directly invited into participation of things or into discussion with things, like especially by you. Just has been kind of sitting on the edge of most of the social interactions and observing but appears to have gotten somewhat more relaxed and aware that it's, I have a place to go to if I need to, and otherwise everybody here seems all right.
Have you begun to extend any thought towards what you would like to do when we arrive in the provinces?
Well, I'm familiar with the fact that there is some form of immaculate detachment, and I would be interested in seeing that, not necessarily joining up with it directly, immediately, considering the circumstances of my arrival, but I would be interested to see the differences in practice. I would be interested to see how things are being maintained. I'd be interested in seeing the satrapy and how that is being held up. Otherwise, I have not been thinking about that much.
Well, it will soon enough be the matter of the business of the present day.
It will. I had been hoping that when I got there, the context would be more conducive to reading the situation, making decisions from that, rather than worrying about it off in advance.
That is a helpful attitude. If there is any broad aspect of the world's wisdom that is best expressed in the way of life here in the East, it is, within nature, the supreme importance of flexibility.
She nods.
That among the highest of Gaia's laws, some might say, in truth, her only law, adapt or die.
She doesn't quite flinch at that one, just kind of retracts inward a bit before just bringing herself back up and nodding. This is the way of the cycle, yes. All things feed into each other and are fed by others.
So, on that note as well, Repose has probably, stopped doing a bunch of miscellaneous things he routinely does when we went to the island, and he has been gradually easing back into his normal routine as we travel back out into the direction.
Mm-hmm.
On that note, I had spoken previously that many of the ways that were practiced by the founder of my order and that we have preserved faithfully in continuing to fight in the preservation of the natural order and so on and so forth.
They're rather unique.
Yes, and I acknowledge that many such ways have become considered in poor taste or fashion by the standards of those who currently practice and maintain the way of the center.
Is kind of holding the thumb of her left hand in her right hand and just kind of twisting it a little bit, just kind of fiddling with it in thought as she just kind of nods.
And I am always prepared to offer apologies for any such offense which may be rendered onto your sensibilities.
No. No offense was taken. As you said, I understand that the ways out and the threshold are considerably different from the center for their own reasons, and the wisdom that you clearly portray in your following of these traditions is such that it is well established that it would be I immediately just kind of just falls apart mid-sentence, not realizing I started talking before I realized what I was going to say, kind of situation for her.
You will allow the muttering to finish derailing and settle back down and just kind of nod thoughtfully. Understanding. And in turn, if in time you ultimately decide that our ways are not conducive to the ways in which you would like to pursue further understanding of the Great Mother and of the natural order, then that is entirely your choice. To know two of us are set the same path to fulfill our role in the cycle. As you've noted yourself, there are representatives of the Immaculate Order present in the region, and you are free to install yourself among them.
There's a shift
In fact,
of the weight of her
to-
feet in that.
In fact, I might recommend to begin your experience in an appropriately moderated environment. There is an old mortal who, last I had heard, was scheduled to be installed as prior in the city which Madame Cascade is attending to commandeer with her household.
She kind of glances up with a bit of a light behind her eye at that.
I've known the man for some time, and he has been more often than not, my point of contact for any matters in which it has been necessary for us to collaborate across the usual boundaries between our respective organizations. If anyone would offer you a fair and moderated assessment of my ways from the perspective of your ways, I could think of no better candidate.
I would appreciate being brought in contact with him. Yes.
And I am certain that he will appreciate having another opportunity to guide and nurture one of Gaia's people as she begins her path.
Another?
Oh, not in terms of present students under his tutelage.
That seems
he is a
almost
veteran of
getting-
some time. Repose is able to Repose would have a rank that he could say out of hand.
But then mentioning that there was a prior one that Repose is aware of is almost even more of a in her eyes of just, wait, hang on. But if Repose is not immediately volunteering of it, it just
Repose
remains-
has only limited information about that and wouldn't.
Yeah.
Wouldn't put that forward. It's a matter of if you would like to know more about his practice, you would be best to hear it directly from him in his own terms.
Of course.
In my own usual practice and conduct, I am prone to wandering. I'm rarely settled in any one place for terribly long, so I rarely have a complete picture of the day-to-day goings-on in any one place in the region.
She nods. That seems to be the way of the mendicant. No.
Alright, so after some amount of additional small talking on that subject,
Mhm.
we can assume passing along of miscellaneous appropriate details. I propose will eventually paint himself into a corner about actually saying anything about his own sect.
And would this is out of character question? Would you be willing? Are you going to be maneuvering into a second half of the conversation, or no?
Maybe not a full-on conversation, but at least a point that he is willing to put forth as the initial starting point here.
Because she's actually going to be rolling on her own at this point, because she has realized at this point you are not only evasive about basically everything aside from the basics, but you are very insistent that she get a viewpoint of you from someone else, to the point where she is starting to put some things together.
All right, feel free to.
She like you start to see her expression shifting, not to one of quite so much you would call judgment, as kind of a furrowed brow and a thought and a kind of a couple of pieces clicking together sensation. I forgive me if I'm being forward, but I will not pry on sensitive topics, but I will say that from our time together in the past few months and your lessons and our discussion, whatever it is that you seemed so remiss to discuss with me about, I think you're a good person anyway.
It's good of you to say that.
She just kind of withdraws in on herself a little bit after visibly having spent like most of her social energy for the day getting up the urge to say that. I think I'm going to go rest a little bit. It is still early in the day, but I feel a little winded. If you'll excuse me. And she just kind of bows slightly for permission to take her leave and just kind of slips off.
And Repose will allow that.
I would like to introduce a fact.
Go ahead.
When she gets back to her barrel, there is a nice little comfort meal in front of it. Just with a note saying, yeah, shit's hard.
That's less introducing a fact and more just you're being nice.
You're doing a thing.
As Yang is working on the centrifuge on the, in the room nearby above the cargo deck, can actually hear very softly muffled crying from down below.
Yeah. I'm not gonna bug her. Just want her to know that she's like rooting for her.
To specify, it is just the kind of emotionally overwhelmed, but in a mostly positive way kind of crying. Just did not expect this sort of.
A lot of emotions are happening. Help.
Effort noises.
Yes.
There is definitely Obsidian would have been thinking about, maybe it's the day that I approach. I'll wait a couple days. It doesn't mean like, no, actually, I'll give her some air.
Mm-hmm.
Milan.
So,
I had something real quick.
go
If I
ahead.
yeah, Milan.
Mm-hmm.
Since you might be going to the kingdoms and I might not be, I'm going to probably give you a couple letters to hand out to people, just to make sure we get all this different information, everything straightened out. Okay?
Sounds good.
Most of it's going to be talking with Koi and talking with our some of our other friends out there. I'm not sure who's around when I'm saying this. Our usual contacts and what have you. If Yang goes with you, maybe Yang can talk to some of Yang's relatives, but I don't know if Yang wants to or not.
That is up to Yang.
Do you have anything in particular you are looking forward to do out there?
Not particularly. I'm still ruminating on the events of this last season.
You want to talk about it?
Maybe someday.
Okay.
Out of character, I don't actually have anything prepared for that.
Yeah, I kind of figured, but Angler would have made the gesture.
Yeah.
Alright, Repose is going to, after allowing that conversation to happen, during the cooldown period, he is going to set his mind back to the old realm of visual poetry and prepare a bit of a letter to leave to Sharon to better express the things that were left unsaid in that leg of conversation. Basically to hit the next point that he was preparing to make before she had reached her limit and checked out. But the point to get back down to at this point that he's ready to formalize is that your superiors and my superiors regard each other as, at best, rivals. Often as outright enemies. While this doesn't prevent us from working together, it is something that we do need to respect and acknowledge.
Right. Go ahead and get a 2-die stunt on that because of all the conversations with her.
That learning to work together about this is a separate question from acting like this isn't happening isn't helpful.
Right.
Alright, just a 6.
You make
Of some good linguistics rhetoric.
You make an extremely good linguistic explanation of this in a visual poetry form of your choice.
Alright, so probably the visual that gets evoked here is the idea of, like, two plants that, like, down at the roots of these respective two ancient gnarled trees, there is all manner of anger and unpleasantness. But way out at the extremities, where fresh new life is springing forth, there is none of that chaos. Kind of the thesis statement to put forth out of this poem is that, okay, yeah, our elders despise each other, and as a next generation, being open to diplomacy is our job. It is time for another round of relitigating what we think of each other. We are supposed to argue, and we will conclude something, for better or for worse, and pass that down the line.
All right, yeah. It is quite well composed, and you leave that wherever you need to
Get
have
that
that
written up and just leave it folded and sealed and just at the barrel. Suppose it's just increasingly, incidentally, made modifications to the barrel over time. There's probably just like a mail pouch on the lid that things can be left in.
Yep.
The barrel is ready to just be lifted out of the boat and installed
It is now
at
a
the
tiny
temple in the
house.
city. Yes.
Dear Shirin, I worship ghosts. Sign proposed. Boat explodes.
Kaboom! Yeah. But yeah, at this point, I think we can skip forward to the first.
And
Oh,
all right, so I
no.
suppose as well it's something to put into the stated intent of the text here that the angle Repose will now work is there are things that I, as an individual, might be willing to say out loud, but my boss would order me not to divulge to you, and I respect my boss enough that I'm not going to disobey that.
Okay.
This is now
yeah,
getting
no,
into
the
this is
thing
getting
you
into
get across-
formality and regulation. There are taboos here that do not reflect my personal opinion of you.
Right. Yeah, that is with 6 successes you can get that across with some reflection on the words of just, oh, okay, it's complicated.
It is complicated. It will take time to communicate whatever about whatever because professional priest life, right? Doctrine.
Ah, dogma.
So,
Yep, the obsidian.
Obsidian had a scene that was somewhat similar,
We can go through if there's.
but like, I still want to do it. So at some point, whether the barrel's there with the door open or she's sitting by herself, Obsidian would approach and just, address her.
She'd glance up from one of the. Milan would probably have the pile of books from Old Man that has been gone to Cascade and Milan at this point. I would assume, she would probably express interest in the giant pile of books and be given one or two just to help her catch up on the region and also just the local god stuff. So she looks up from her reading and just kind of nods. Hello, Captain Obsidian.
He started to chuckle at that. It's Obsidian is fine.
She nods.
You have a moment?
Of course. She kind of rolls the scroll back up and kind of sits at attention.
As I'm sure you've probably picked up by this point, the kingdoms are a much different place than the Isles.
Nods.
And I don't just mean that, sort of references to the pirate having, those sort of things are maybe a bit more common, but it's more, how do I say this? Shireen, how much do you know about me? How much did you pick up from the events that happened?
That you were exiled in a manner that you deemed correct but unfair, and that you were brought back to the Isle under situations that you would not have gone under if not for your connections to your hearth and your family, and that afterwards there was a confrontation with your blood family that you sided against with the side of your hearth, and after that you were assisting them in whatever brought them back to the Isle, which I assume is going to be the bureaucratic functions of Milan and the others, and otherwise you have been assisting them as the captain of this boat, and as, if I had to wager a guess from your build and the way that you carry yourself and your armor and your weapon, as a primarily heavily defensive bodyguard.
He would let her finish. He would not interrupt her at any point. Because again, he is trying not to alarm her one way or another. I mean, yes, in more words than I was looking for, but surprised how much you've picked up on. The point of that I'm making is that I'm an exile from the islands because I was a higher ranking person in the army that attacked their superior officer over a disagreement. If you had just those details about me, what would you think?
I would want to know more details.
It's a good thought process to have. Because, and assuming that she doesn't know, she just knows that I was an exile and all that. The disagreement I had with my father was him sending some 500 mortals to their death, knowing that they would die. And not sort of in the sense of they're going into battle. They were sent into a known trap just to find out what kind of trap it was.
Mm.
That is the disagreement I had with my father.
She has now her kind of just kind of passively interested, receptive, learning, listening face has now sunk into just a scowl and just kind of a subverbal noise.
Hmm.
She still seems to be with it, is processing.
My point being is going to the 100 Kingdoms, you're going to encounter a lot of things that, or you might, who knows, maybe you'll never come across these things, but you may encounter things that in what you've been taught are supposed to be cut and dry. Let's say, for a lack of a better term, bad things. And not sort of in the sense of like illegal things, just let me give you another scenario.
It's not a no, she's just still kind of realizing that you have stopped. She gives you a nod after that noise.
And he has realized at this point that the scenario he has thought in his head, again, just sort of like more in character, more legitimately myself. The scenario he has thought in his head is a very bad example of the sort of thing of, well, Obsidian would wait to find this out, but
Well, it's still, you're figuring out how she thinks as well.
right. He immediately has a spark of like based off something that, hey, we've experienced in the story so far. Okay, this is actually better. There's an army that served under a tyrannical leader. Is everyone in that army immediately damned to the same fate as the leader? The leader being a horrible man, no redeeming qualities in any way.
There is a visible kind of contortion flicker across her face. And that's only context though.
That is your only context.
No.
He is, of course, out of character for everyone. He's referring to the Bronze Axe's army.
Mm-hmm. Just kind of staring and thinking at you, just
As an aside, Obsidian would have kind of a serious look on his face, but it's a sort of like calm, serious. Again, sort of the kind of look of a parent having a talk with their child.
mm-hmm.
Of like, you know, I'm asking questions, but for a reason.
Rare shot of Obsidian lecturing.
Yeah. a sort of, patient seriousness.
Exactly.
But you would know more in that, right? The army, you would know more.
On the fly of the moment, you may not.
Mm.
Now, that isn't to say that there is a immediate, damn them or not, and they're free to go forever. The question is, would you administer judgment immediately or not?
I would want to know more.
And that is the correct answer. When you're in the 100 Kingdoms, never approach anything as either black or white. Your first impression may not always be the correct one. You always should be asking more questions. And that goes with sort of like shakes his head for like, not shakes his head, but like sort of like tilts his head to the side. Almost everything out there.
There is a flash in her eyes at the almost. As you remember what exactly house you are talking to. House Wild Hunt.
Mm-hmm. And that's more like out of character. That's more the sense of like, this would have been a better conversation to have if we had actually encountered Party Boat of like, hey, you're going to encounter stuff out there that you've been taught is inherently evil and kill at a moment's notice. But hey, sometimes there's more to the story than that.
Yeah, you're just getting the incredibly sour aura of like, it's not fair. The big takeaway you are getting is, this is not fair. Tell me more. Like, don't make me make a decision with no information. That's cheating.
Let me do a re-intentions to see if I get that just outright.
Okay.
Because if he did get that, he would have a follow-up. And this is with the 2 free successes. All right, so that's 5.
Oh, it is all over her in terms of just indignant, confused, and to the point of you feel like this is a very common sore spot, and perhaps one of the reasons that she did not fit well in the Immaculate Order was, but why though? But why though?
He would sort of rub his chin, reading her face pretty easily. It's not an easy answer, is the thing. The fact of the matter is, how do you say this? You won't always be given the answers. Now, that's not to say that you should make a judgment based off of no information. More what I'm getting at is, make a judgment that's yours. Do what once you have the information, make the judgment that you feel is right. Don't be quick to judge just based off of what you've heard.
There is for lack of a context metaphor that would fit in this narrative, there is an almost circuit breaker flip noise in her brain, just the clunk. as her brain just kind of starts going down that path and then just stops. And then, like, goes back, flips it, keeps going, thunk. Goes back, flips it, forces through, starts thinking further, just whole body, thinking with your whole brain and your whole body, kind of. This, okay, like, direct instructions against how she has been brought up, kind of processing.
Which, yes, is more or less what Obsidian would be getting at, of just, hey, he wouldn't say this outright, much like Repose wouldn't say something's outright, but his point that he is trying to get across is, hey, you're teaching to, as he said, they're too black and white.
Yeah.
You need to see the middle ground. You need to see the gray in the world.
And more accurately, you are realizing, as you are watching her reactions, what is coming out of your mouth and what is being interpreted as you are allowed to see between the two options. You are allowed to ask questions.
Good. That's exactly what I wanted her to take away from it. Good. I'm happy. I'm so satisfied with this conversation at this point.
And that thought alone is taking up her whole damn brain after this conversation. So she'll like nod gratefully to you, but is very clearly like, and that's today's limit.
Would nod to her, say, and I'm always available to talk. Don't feel like you can't approach me.
Thank you. Sincerely, thank you.
No problem. And he'd take his leave.
And she would just kind of go back to reading, although very visibly multi-threaded thinking about it.
Okay, pre-travel scene that I would very quickly put forward. Repose would like to meet with Cascade and Granite, and Agler can also be there if you would like. Well, specifically, the kids have been thoroughly distracted by gaining access to Mode. Mode is running interference to keep children away from adult business. If we have Rum?
Oh, I was just letting you go. I'm sorry. Go right ahead. I'll be there, but I'm just letting you go in.
All right, just making sure you were available. So there will just be some appropriate pre-conversation amount of just pleasantly watching the kids play with the cat. And then establish appropriate barrier to conversation in the direction of just kind of preheat with, well, they you know, just it's small talk about, yeah, it's nice to see kids have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Once we have returned and resumed the year's business in the provinces, I will need him back. Indicating Mode. So, there is no denying that your daughters appreciate his company, and that he would be some use about yours or any other home. my sect does maintain a pool of creatures who are duly accustomed to providing material and spiritual security to households. It is among the services which we offer to those in need within the range of our patrols. To see if any of our number would adopt them. This is normally one of our services which we refrain from asserting in any area which we have recognized as within the boundaries of central interests. However, given that each of you has, in my experience, been more flexible about such affairs than is the norm among the dynasty. I would find it within my authority to extend the offer. If it would interest you. Certainly, at least for so long as my alliance with my alliance with with my brother, your husband, continues. Yet Repose has avoided making any claim that anyone trains these cats to do anything.
Yeah, these cats are...
We don't train them, we don't cultivate them, we just cohabitate with them.
Okay, because a couple of anglers warning signals were going off in his head of, but what exactly are you
He's talking about the
proposing with
cats,
these
but
cats?
very professionally making no claims that anyone tells them what to do.
Basically, the takeaway here is these are not the extension of the sect. These are cats that happen to be in a cool arrangement with the sect, and if any of the cats happen to be like, no, actually those people are cooler, and leave, that's just accepted as how things work. And Repose is extending the offer of, hey, if any of the cats decide that they want to hang out with you or Shireen or anybody else, I'm not going to stop them, because I can't stop them.
Okay, that's fine. It was, Angler actually mentioned this later in post, but not well.
Probably if we were dropping out a specific dialogue, how I could imagine this would go is Angler starts to get tensed up again, but because the other two are there, they catch him this time.
Yeah, Cass would actually come up and put a hand on Angler's shoulder and be like, all right, let's talk through this. Just visit, because can catch it before even the hearth connection does, just subconsciously okay, you're worried about something, let's talk through this, and then Angler can discuss.
You said it halfway through, and I was just already running through my head, so I might have missed it. None of these cats are going to have the same connection you have with Mode, correct?
Unless any of you so chose to try to develop such sympathies.
And that would be connections to the kids, to the cat, and not back to the set.
I meant they're not all going to be another moat to you is what the question was. You aren't going to have 50 moats spread out among the area.
There is a very brief flicker of, man, what if I had more cats, that then gets suppressed back to get to the subject at hand. Wait, what if I had 2 modes?
Oh no.
What if I had a pool of modes? But quickly chases that back out of mind, just no.
Some sort of personal and peripheral one.
My periphery of modes.
God damn you!
Yes, thank you everyone for getting the joke. But still, at the same time, Angler's this is what I'm worried about here. It's I know you wouldn't do that, but at the same time, I can see the draw towards it.
by confiding in you in one of my deep anxieties. I'm making you go, actually, what if though?
Yes.
And Cass does kind of get that flicker of just like, okay, I get it. Kind of reassures you through it of like, look, no, like, it's Cass.
Propose will look a bit visibly upset at the accusation of what? What? You don't trust Mo? That's great. Look at Mo.
No, I think you're. I point at the cat with my two daughters. I think that cat's amazing. It was more a matter of if you have 50 of them, what's going to happen to you? I'm more worried about you than anything else.
Cass just kind of leans in, and you're worried about them.
And he's just looking at you this time like, well, now that just sounds foolish. What?
Having had this whole conversation about a month and a half ago, whatever. Not one person can't cover everything out here. It sounded to me like you were trying to take too much of a burden on yourself, and I was worried that you might.
Gee, I wonder why that might sound familiar.
Yes, I know. See, again, learning is happening here very quickly, but I wanted to make sure that you weren't overstepping to make sure that you didn't get hurt in the process.
And Angler. That very concern is precisely the reason that it is ultimately to the benefit of one's personal, physical, spiritual, general health to have allies, however small.
Ah.
Look at it this way. The second the kids hear the possibility that they have a cat, it's not going to be our decision anymore.
Oh, Cass, you said the wrong word there. You said a before cat. It would be several cats.
Yeah, you're right. But my point still stands.
Yeah.
Oh, don't let them know in advance. Allow a bit of mystery.
I'm not going to tell them about that. Are you
surprise.
crazy?
I'm not telling them either, but I'm also very aware of my own children and how they can figure surprises out well ahead of time despite both of our best efforts.
Immediately looking over to Granite.
Granite just shrugs. Just the visible look of, look, I'm not a cop.
That, yeah, that is correct. If that was an unintended shot at Angler, touche.
Well,
You have a feeling it was about halfway intended.
Well, for each of you who would be interested in offering yourself as a candidate for adoption,
Supplicate yourself to the cat altar.
what follows is I would ask to borrow a small personal item from each candidate. Just anything that has been in their personal presence for long enough to have picked up their general sense and aura. I'll take the item off. I will offer them up for inspection, and if any of our stock feel that they're... Repose will have some appropriate way to put this, but the cats will decide.
Yeah.
Cats
Angler
adopt
would
people.
suggest that the both the girls and also Cass hand over their amulets or bracelets, what do you want to call it, that have the amber with the snake fang in them, because they would each have one that would be slightly different.
They know where they are needed.
Unless anybody else has things to bring up before the great aerial runaround.
Yeah, there will
One
be-
last thing.
There'll be
sorry,
in
go ahead.
isolation a repeat of that for Shirin as well.
Yeah. The
Of just
quick
the
response.
next time that they are able to be in the same space and start a conversation, just all right, here's a topic that has nothing to do with that last thing that would be very awkward to follow up on.
Mhm.
Here's the immediate peace offering of a distraction.
Yeah, no, the moment you volunteer, like, maybe you can take care of a cat, it would just immediately just be like bright eyes, kind of grabby hands on the sides, just like, yeah. But, Angler?
Angler would ask, I have no idea which one of the crafting brothers, there's 3 now, who would be useful for this, but the wonderful god amulet that Repose gave him, he wants to put a couple different mirrors in there just as a temporary stopgap so he can look through them if he wants to, I don't know, look at the spiritual realm or something. And in addition, since we're going to be stopping by the Gonzoda Redoubt, he also wants to see if he can get some sort of film put on the back of his gauntlets that could be applied with the curse curse of it, so that he could have reflective surfaces on the back of his gauntlets, so he can use that to use as a reflecting mirror.
Oh, so you also know that trick.
I've been learning it. Part of, actually, the past month and a half, I got some books on astronomy and astrology for my daughters so that they could read, but I've been reading them too. And it's really kind of made me start looking at a different aspect of it.
Nodding.
But it seems a little clumsy at times to have to pull a mirror out, so I'd like to have something that I can quickly and surreptitiously look at in order to look around at a different realm.
So yeah, either Repose or Milan, or Yang, I suppose, could do a minor project to put mirrors.
Do I know how to make ghost mirrors?
It would just have
regular
to be
mirrors.
like
is all you
anything
need.
reflective.
Again, it was the
I
trying
could
to
probably just put like
specifically
a
take
coating of
the
something on it then.
the stuff, because we're going to be stopping nearby the Consider Redoubt, and that's the place that has, if you get close to it, everything's covered in amethyst.
Yes, and anything within it just turns to amethyst.
Yeah, and he was hoping to get some sort of like thin film he could put over the back of his gauntlets to make them reflective based on the amethyst itself, so that it looks like it's just supposed to be shiny. But
Can I make this extra?
you do you.
I am going to slam down my backpack in a very dramatic fashion, like a stupid bitch. And I am going to rummage for the most irresponsibly reflective material or some sort of interesting thing that I can use to like make a small gem out of.
Immediately grabs the Quicksilver.
Yeah,
And,
no.
and DM's choice for whatever I grab.
I was going to reach for a luck die, but no, you grabbed the Mercury.
Wait, hold up. I want this to be reflective, but I don't want to stand out 600 feet away from everyone because I'm shining 6,000 different ways because
You're
of
not going to
reflective
be
surface.
coated in nothing but mirrors. I'm just doing. Let me be the artist. Don't suffocate my vision, Angler.
As you are
I'm gonna make you look.
As you are gesticulating with the small vial of Quicksilver in your hand, a shitty little Potu flies through the air, snatches it out, and flies out the window with it.
You motherfucker.
What just happened?
Old man.
What?
How many times has old man said if he had the chance to drink Quicksilver, he will?
He's been waiting.
I
He knows you
don't
have
know.
Correct,
I don't.
because
What?
he says it like every day.
He does?
Yeah.
Yes.
You should really pay attention to him.
Wow,
more.
this really took the wind out of my sails.
Here, you know what? I'm sure we can find some more Quicksilver. I'm sorry I doubted you. After that display, you can do whatever the heck you want.
Now I'm worried.
There's a thunk
Every
on the
day,
deck
old
above
man.
you as a dead bird falls to the ground.
Every day, old man walks into the herbalist shop and asks, "Do you have any mercury?"
Okay, well, I didn't. Okay, here's. So, how about the jar comes back to me, but it's basically halved? I wasn't going to use all of it anyways.
Oh no, the bird. Okay, so you had more than one file. I'm just saying that component.
You can
bird
extract the completely unaffected mercury from the dead bird.
Yeah, that bird chugged the mercury and instantly died. So you could just kind of squeeze it back out.
Wait a
It
minute.
was one of the benefits
No.
of medicinal mercury was that it's reusable.
Instead, Yang picks up the dead bird and fucking. Look, you know that one panel from the Nier comic where he stares at a plant with a death stare?
Go on.
So like, I'm basically I'm scrutinizing this fucking dead bird. What's some spooky shit I can do to make this turn into a gem?
Pardon?
Like, what if I wanted to crystallize this bird and then give him bird gauntlets?
Well, considering that this is an ephemeral essence extension of Old Man and will probably discorporate into non-existence here within a couple of minutes, not much. But the mercury itself might have picked up something out of it.
Fine, I'll just juice him.
You're gonna what?
I'm gonna juice him.
Juice what?
This is, in fact, a fantastic use case for the centrifuge.
Oh, let's test out the prototype.
The what now?
Immediate cut to bird clothes.
There is a curtain behind me, and I fucking rip it off, and there's this stupid shitty orb. It's made out of metal, and there's a bunch of concentric rings around it, and they're each an element, and in each an if-then clause, basically. So what I'm gonna do is pop the orb open, throw the bird in there, close it, and just kick it really hard and spin it really fucking hard.
There is an ungodly rattling and squishing and thunking within the orb as it spins faster and faster as you are basically using a pull cord to rev it like it is a start engine.
And while I'm pulling the cord, I'm just like, ha, 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 what science will come out today?
There is a hellish noise like throwing a brick into a washing machine as this copper bird corpse bounces around the inside of the orb before finally just being blasted to pieces and falling apart as the component parts begin to trickle out of primarily quicksilver and a couple of chunks of copper, which are immediately, for lack of a better word, like evaporating. The rest of it has already disintegrated back into essence background radiation that is not actually tangible.
Fascinating. I'm
By
gonna
the
scoop all
time-
that crap up.
By the time you are able to rebottle the quicksilver, the copper is gone.
It's got some kinks to work out.
What just happened?
I blew up a bird with an orb,
Why?
so I can get the quicksilver back.
Okay.
I say this while staring you in the eyes and decanting bird quicksilver back into a vial.
You know what?
It is at least
He
10
takes
feet
off the
above.
gauntlets and places on the table. Have it, or do you need me to have these on while you do this?
Nope, put him down there.
Puts them down there, takes a step back, takes another step back, and then pauses.
All right. By the way, I'm decanting from like 2 feet above the vial, but now it's in the vial. I'm gonna walk over there. I'm gonna draw a sigil of some sort. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just drawing circles and putting runes around it. It seems to work out sometimes. And I'm gonna slam those down there. Is there like a divot or something? Like, is there a ruby I can just pop out real quick?
Oh, the gauntlets? The gauntlets are pretty nondescript.
Somehow, on pure goddamn instinct and latent memory of Raposa's teachings, you trace out the symbol of Jupiter on the back of each of these gauntlets.
This looks right, I think. And then I'm gonna, in the center of them, make a little nice divot, and just kind of put a little mercury in the divot. And then I'm gonna put my hands on the sigil, and in High Realm, which I've been learning for this, I
Old.
say, Old Realm. I say, gods of gloves, grant me the shiniest fucking thing you got. Show me what you got, and I clap.
roll me manipulation performance with a 1 die stunt.
Can I pray to the nod to please help my brother with whatever he's doing?
Yeah, make a supporting prayer roll.
Okay, thank you. What is that?
How the fuck is this working?
What,
You don't know that
what is a prayer roll in this scenario?
Manipulation performance.
It is some social stat and performance.
Manipulation performance it is. Oh boy. Two successes. So I'll roll another 2 dice.
Yep.
Is there a way I can get even more dice by spending willpower?
If you spend a willpower, you get an automatic success.
Okay, I'll get another automatic success. So, 3 more, I guess?
Yeah. That brings you up to
Time
8.
for one of Yang's 1,000 miracles.
I guess to
the wheel.
capstone this, once I've done the chant, that's probably not going to work. I'm going to light the sigil on fire and then do some spooky hand gestures. Like the same fashion as like when you go for a fist bump and then do the
Yeah, I please hold while I have literally taken my glasses off and I am holding my head and my eyes in my hand as I'm trying to figure out what exactly is about to happen.
Dude, I don't fucking know.
That means
You
it
slap
worked.
it on the gauntlets and just go wooja wooja
You know-
wooja.
The God of Gloves was really into that.
No, I mean, you got 8 successes. Something is happening. I am currently just deciding what. Because your plan moved faster than my brain's ability to catch up with it.
Like any good writer, I'm putting down the tracks as fast as I can while the train's still going.
Did Yang summon a demon?
That was what the initial roll was for. If it was a 1, then yes, it would have been a demon. But no, it was a good roll, so you did something right. Fuck me.
Can we get a new space on the bingo wheel for Yang summons a demon?
It's really consistent, isn't it?
You keep almost doing it. You keep doing things in character that risk it, and then barely getting out of it without realizing you've done a problem.
Can I get a god check on Mercurial Gauntlets, please?
Fucking Christ. Okay, important establishing time of day that I'm asking Sona and no one else. What time of day do you do this? Like, morning, noon, afternoon, night, etc.
The exact amount, we're doing this on deck, and it is the exact time of day that allows for a shadow to be over the ritual for as long as possible, and then when I'm done, have it be back in the light. So probably in the low afternoon, but that's what I'm doing. The idea is we're going into a journey, and then there's a revelation.
I'm so mad that I was giving you 2 options and you picking clips!
Yeah? Fuck off, bitch.
How do you keep doing this?
Game pause, Sona. I love you. Okay, game on pause.
We're doing science here, and we're gonna see what happens.
Spin the wheel.
Alright, so the first thing that happens is that the etching of the god of the Maiden of Secrets disappears. And the mercury out of the divot flows into where the sigil had been when the shadow casts over the gauntlets. And as you are doing your ritual, from the outside, both Angler and anybody else watching in Repose are just kind of like, well, I mean, he's got the spirit, but this is clearly not going to... What is happening?
Oh no, does he know what he's doing?
This internal gut feeling of the essence flow around this is just changing as something large is looking down. Not like Sun big, not even like head of department big, but something, a very large fish in the totem pole, or whatever the hell metaphor you want to use, is looking down like, what the fuck just... Huh? yeah, like the Bureau of Secrets is getting an extremely strange memo, essentially.
We never get these forms. What the fuck is this?
What is this form? Who wrote this? And over the about 20 minutes it takes for the shadow to cast over. We should have 4 to 5 days if nothing big goes wrong. As the shadow is casting over, and there's just, you can't tell what's going on with the shifting of the Mercury in the sigil. It stops being a sigil of Jupiter pretty quickly and is just kind of glazing over the back of the gauntlet, and is just kind of shimmering weirdly. And once the light comes back over it, you notice 2 things. Is number 1, the mercury is no longer liquid. It has turned into an ablative, like, alloyed mercury shine on top of the back of the gauntlet.
Huh.
And number 2 is the sun is directly in conjunction over the full moon in the sky during the day as it is coming up early, as the light is cast on these things.
Why are you like this?
And in a very performative thing, I give a big bow towards the direction of whatever that feels right.
Towards the sun and moon is your gut instinct.
Hey, thanks for taking the hook. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, Repose, roll me intelligence craft.
Alright.
What the fuck did I just do?
I have an idea, but go ahead.
Alright, you know what? This is important enough that, so, what has happened elsewhere, well, like, in the immediate vicinity as this is going on, is there is just a panel of judges of the other people who know how occult stuff is supposed to work, who are all
Yes.
sitting there looking very seriously as the orb spins. They have been occasionally commenting to each other about this situation back and forth. We've formed a council. And yeah, I will just kind of go ahead and throw the excellency into here. Just breathe deep and have a thorough think about
What the fuck did I just make?
what is my brother doing.
I don't
Your
know.
brother somehow made moon silver.
Is that good?
That's moon silver on the back of those gauntlets.
It is what you make of it.
Milan comes out of a cabin, quill and paper in hand, in the middle of writing something. Everything okay?
Yeah.
Let's
I'm
find
just doing
out.
a silly
I put
little
on the
thing. I don't even
gauntlets.
know this word. What the fuck is that? Hey, Repose, what is this?
Moat's eyes have just dilated to the size of dinner plates and is entirely puffed up like a goddamn dust bunny. It's just hair and fur. Just what?
That is moon silver.
What's moon silver?
What?
The silver of the moon.
What's up there? I use
And
quicksilver.
silver is down here.
Right, yeah, but I just use some quicksilver for my backpack. Oh. Oh.
You've done well.
Oh.
I'm going to take several practice moves
And-
with the gauntlets on and see what happens.
See now.
I
Yeah,
immediately,
and
I
propose
immediately
will,
drop
like-
everything and point towards the moon and the sun and go, I will never try and do this on purpose again. Thanks. That I was just fucking around. Thanks for not. Sorry. Thank you, but sorry. Sorry. Oh, fuck.
Roll me charisma performance with a 3 dice stunt, please.
Nodding approvingly at Yang's rapid understanding.
What even is my charisma? I think I closed lock casting at 75. All right, performance. So, okay, again, a 9.
You have immediately kowtowed so hard that you are banging your head on the deck of the boat repeatedly until it is slightly drawing blood, just going, I'm sorry, I'll delete it if you want, I'm sorry. And you don't feel any response because you are clearly praying to something too damn big to respond to you, but you are dead certain that you have been heard, and so long as you stick to your word of like, oh, I don't know what I just did, but I'm not doing that on purpose and I'm not going to exploit this, probably gonna be okay. It feels like you bumbled into the exact right set of circumstances for something to just sort of happen, and maybe it's best that you just leave it as a we don't examine how that just worked.
The gods just decided, yeah, okay. And that's not anything I could ever decide on purpose, and I understand that.
Yes, this is extremely a confluence of events made something way above your pay grade go, yeah, alright, sure, let's go. And then abusing that kindness would end badly for you, and you have communicated that the message has been received.
That, my brother, is why you ask. Though it often seems that no force above or below is present or active or listening or particularly sympathetic to whatever cause you may be engaged in, ask anyway. It never hurts to ask.
Yeah.
Sometimes things listen.
It turns out just having fun and being genuine about it gets you accidentally whatever the fuck. Here, have these back. I don't want to know what the hell these things do. They're not my problem anymore.
Oh, Angler already has them on. Has been doing practice moves for like 10 minutes.
You don't notice a single thing different about them.
Perfect. I'm gonna pause for a second, and then use the mirror, the occult mirror thing, and look through them.
Works great. You can see the gods and elementals of the river just in the reflection on your hands.
Okay. Thank you, Yang.
Oh, that's a really fucked up thing I just made. Wow.
I don't know what you're talking about. I will never doubt you. I will always doubt you on something like this, but I will never actually take it away from you like I almost did, and I will go along with whatever you want to do, because that was amazing, and also... Nope, just amazing.
Obsidian would stick his head out from wherever he is and just be like, are we getting attacked?
No, it's fine.
Did
It's
Yang
fine.
bumble into something stupid again?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You should give those a name.
Let me think about this.
Yang has to name them. He made them.
There's no rush. Wait until the appropriate inspiration strikes you.
Roll perception awareness, by the way, Angler.
Okay, I'm pumping everything I have into this. Eight.
None of the gods notice anything happen. You would expect like something like this happening would attract even a little attention from the local spirit ecology, but as far as you know, they either don't notice or have been made to not notice.
Concerning.
Secrets.
Intelligence occult.
Oh boy. I get to check my new abilities. Hold on. I'm not used to using having a cult. I think it's going to be 7. Hold on. Yes. 5.
Wait a minute. He put the sigil of the Maiden of Secrets on those. Oh.
Yep, I was kind of thinking the same thing.
Oh.
I know what I'm going to name them. The right hand is called Insight, and the left hand is called Kindness. If you ever use these to hurt someone, I'll kill you.
Uh,
I know it's never going to happen, but...
So it has been said.
I will take the names. I don't know if I can promise that never to kill.
Well, no.
Oh, that's
you
not
know,
your decision now, is it?
Who's saying that?
Never do evil.
No, hold on a sec. Who's saying
No, that was not an in-character statement. That is a me telling you, the player, of that's not your choice. That's Yang's and the Gauntlets.
Oh boy.
You said you want to defend your kids, motherfucker. Well,
You still have boots, motherfucker. Take the
I
gloves
don't know
off.
I don't know if I could use these both in conjunction is the thing.
So mechanically speaking, I'm going to say what Yang just said is going to make these uneligible to be a combat artifact. They are a utility artifact now.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
These are not a weapon, they are a tool.
Because
You
for
use
half
them
a
to
second,
help
I'm like, well, I mean,
people
I
or
guess I
defend
can take
people.
my boots off and just use gloves now, and that's fine.
Congratulations,
Never mind, the boots
Crumb.
stay on.
You have the mirror of Ra, but it's on your hands.
it's
Pretty
probably
much
like one
exactly.
of
That's pretty much exactly what I have
Yeah.
planned.
yeah,
It is
pretty much. Yeah.
yeah, Insight and Kindness, and the first direct instructions from its creator as they are being catalyzed with a name under the light of the forces that created it is, thou shalt not cause harm. And if anybody is dumb enough to try using these for harm, don't.
These exist to stop your hands from getting mauled and also let you see spirits and revelations to help you defend people. Comma, bitch.
Well, that was a
Is there
productive day.
Yeah, well, he's going to stop for a second before, like, trying to weasel his way out of it, because that's what he does. And then think real hard. Is there anything else you want to place on these?
Nah.
Okay.
You feel like the moment has passed anyway.
Dang. Okay. Angler was going to ask his kids if they wanted to put anything on this, but never mind.
I mean, yeah, they can customize them. It's fine. Having the fucking earnest modifications of children would probably make them more powerful because I am tending towards protect the weak.
Because
Basically,
you said insight and kindness, and that's immediately what I thought of as those two.
yeah,
Like,
that's the point.
Yeah.
they can evolve with the assistance of your children to unlock their avocations, but like in terms of like the basic fundamental aspect of them, yeah, that was just
The thought process under Yang here is that you are using this to defend your children, and they will keep you curious and keep you honest, basically.
Yep.
Or you will suffer
At this
and
point, he's
perish.
going to thank you and then immediately go grab his kids to show them all the cool stuff they can see through that.
God. Well, in things that I did not expect to happen, that was on the high. That was very high on the list of things I never would have thought happened. But here we fucking are again. Thank you, Sana. That's not sarcasm. That is a genuine, just adoration. Every time you go on a tear, the dice just love it.
Last thing on the gloves, not because I'm thinking about it, since I made a prayer to Danad to help with the process of it, do I feel any reverberation through with her in the gloves? Her? I think it's her.
Her.
Yeah.
Yes, her.
Not directly, but you have a feeling that so many very large names being invoked in a specific order was a fundamental part of how this worked at all.
Okay, I'm going to keep that part quiet then.
A freak accident just happened.
Yeah, this is a basically 1 in a billion incidents where the right things all lined up in the right order, and the bureaucrat in charge of the form that was handed it thought, okay, no, this is fucking funny. So, from here, I believe we will be going back to visiting local areas.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So how do we feel about advanced party zooping out at incredible speed?
I have a scene I want to do after dropping off Repose, going to deliver the letters, and that's all I need.
okay.
You said that like not saying that we should end this early, but just this is what a moment I had just now of you said that sentence and I was like, wait, we're gonna do more, and I looked at the time like, how is it only 10:30?
I looked down before I said that because it felt later because high density bullshit happened.
Powerful
I
events.
will
powerful
apologize
events.
for nothing. That felt right.
It was perfect. It was perfect.
Are you kidding me? This is giving me a great role-playing tool for the future. I love it.
Plus, it has made everybody else who is like, yes, we understand how the occult works, just stare at you like, what the fuck?
This is a firm instance of a trickster being like, I know what I'm doing, and just tricking the shit out of himself, and him going like, fuck, man.
There are several times during that Angler's looking towards Repose, like, or even also Milan going, is this how this occult stuff usually goes? I'm new to this.
A blue screen.
Again, this was expressly, hey, are we under attack? No. Yang's doing something dumb? Yes. Got it. Just immediately. It's one of those two things when I hear that sort of hooting and hollering.
Repose was outwardly his usual level of stern and stoic, but since everyone in the circle is appropriately calibrated for it, he was very excited to watch this unfold. Just, yeah, go, do it,
Hell yeah.
do the thing.
Touch the stove.
I don't know what's happening, but it rules.
Okay, who is part of the advanced party? Just so I have this set
Yeah,
up.
we gotta.
We gotta wind down.
Yeah. Advanced party is myself, Repose, Cascade, and children.
And also Sharon?
Shireen was.
Shireen. Sorry, keep doing that.
It's all right. Shireen was back and forth on. I think if there was space that she could go, but otherwise.
That has us at 5 out of 6.
Okay, yeah, then she could go along if nobody else went.
Which means there's still room for an additional person.
Okay, I mean, sure.
I think, yeah, actually, I do think you should go with them, Yang, because that means myself and the old man can back up this obsidian if anything bad happens here.
Old man is already attempting to consume the gauntlets.
Stay away. Stay
Old
away.
man keeps approaching and trying to lick your hands.
Stop it. Get some help, please.
If we
Stop
are
Possibly.
actually getting to being on land stuff, even for the boat eventually, Darren, let me know, because there is another scene ahead ready to go. Kind of.
Okay. So, yeah. Let us send out Cloud Team and switch over to 100 Kingdoms map for the Super rounds. Unsheath your blade, coward.
Let me tell you about Laudanum.
I sell trucks.
Oh, I miss these frogs.
It's good to
Been
be
a
home.
long time. Yep.
It's been a while since we've seen this map, yeah.
Immediately look around to see if anything's changed.
No, I will just tell you without having to go over it with a comb, I have not changed this map. No surprises have been on the map level of this yet. Okay, so
Alright.
first destination crew would have.
First destination would be Jade Orchid Prefecture, because that's along the way east.
First
to...
destination is a flyby of Jimbus. Just
Yes.
give the whole new arrival crew their welcome to Jurassic Park moment.
Oh, actually, there is one last thing. Before everybody else had left, as Repose is getting ready to go, Obsidian would sort of grab him by the shoulder and just be like, "Hey, don't do anything in the river folk. You know them until I'm there."
All right.
That would be
You'll
with
get a
the
quiet,
the bronze,
stern nod.
the Bronze's
handshake.
army for everybody out of character.
There's a lot of unspoken communication with Repose, but yeah, there will be appropriate exchange, which is like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They'll hold off on processing that until later. We'll hold off on finalizing that until later.
You can give some introductory poking, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, flyby of Jimbus.
But yeah, flyby of Jimbus is still doing quite well for itself. Has been probably at this point, the skull is not a token I can move on this map. It's baked onto the background layer. It probably would have drifted out somewhere like to around here by now because it's migratory around like this whole area, so it doesn't graze in the area too thin. But like you fly by and it's grazing on the local trees and the local shrublands, and all four of the new arrivals to the region are just staring in open awe at, like, the kids are just scrambling to get a good look at it. Shireen is just kind of ascended vibrations of, oh my goodness, that is like a being of Gaia. And the even Cascade is just kind of like openly gawking, like, holy shit. There is a difference between reading, yeah, there's big things out there, and seeing, no, big.
Getting that visceral reaction you get to like actually looking at a mountain and parsing its bigness, except that's also moving.
Yes. Or like looking over a waterfall or down a canyon, and then your body just goes, yeah.
Oh, big.
But the kids are just kind of like, just kind of a combination of frightened of the scope of the thing and also wanting to get in closer to get a better look. And if allowed, would be interested in getting in under it to see where, like, because Jimbus is raining at the moment. And you could probably swoop
Gross.
in. You could probably swoop in and get another bit of water. Just as a kind of quick dive in and out of the shower, and they would just be like beside themselves with excitement and just joy at the concept that such a thing can exist.
Yeah, you need a refill on the juice?
Yeah, most of the Jimbus juice got used up in the Mahjong tiles.
It's very useful juice.
So, I'm just gonna say, because you're in the neighborhood, you might as well be able to do that. So, zip by Jimbus, zip over outlying territory into the capital of the Jade Orchid. First, and good news is that it's not on fire. Second, and good news is that it doesn't look like there was any fire.
Hooray!
Beyond, a couple of buildings have been mildly to moderately defaced. Not in a, like riot-looking way, but more this is the former symbol of the power of the region, and fuck it up, Socrates.
And appropriately, it's being defaced in a way that, in
Honestly,
places where it was divergent from how it should.
Honestly, it makes it look better and have a better geometric flow.
Are people getting up their decorations for the Earth Moon?
Oh yes. That is just free. That is, everybody in this region is doing celebratory holiday observations, especially after last time.
Dirt over.
Ceramic bells hanging from everything.
I believe Shrike said the solstice, and that is a pretty good term.
That's better. That's better. Yeah, I've been like pressing my brain for half this session trying to come up with something. Yeah, solstice is powerful.
But
Every household in the community puts one rock in the stack.
yep, make the big rock, make the big stack. Do it.
Yeah.
Rock'em Rock'ems.
Yeah, like out in front,
Right,
like there's a
roommate
new
Karen.
there is a new cairn being built up of rocks, and it is of rather impressive size. Actually, there is clearly a lot of city engineering work going into place rather than just stacking some rocks. They are sourcing some good rock and sourcing some good stacking to go on.
Repose will stop by at the stack and just directly placing like the tip of his finger on the stones, channel a bit of anima, and just leave chalk lines on the surface of the stone as he brushes his hand over it and appropriately sign off on it with various
Blessings.
blessings, important names.
Mm. Arbor Day is still Arbor Day. Fuck. Yeah. As you enter the city, the reaction from Cass is just kind of head on a swivel of, well, I mean, if this is going to be the place I'm administrating and I've been reading about so much, might as well just absorb as much information as I possibly can at once. Just kind of vacuuming up as much possible information with every sense she has, while the kids are more just interested in, like, oh, wow, look, it's kind of like home, a little crappier, but, like, it's nice.
I love kids.
Your
Because that's exactly
predecessor-
something which, no filter.
Your predecessor did make some attempt to observe the structures of the standard patterns.
And Shireen is just kind of going through it and just is reserved and observing at this point, rather than engaging with anything. Just is figuring out how the place works and what is going on, and seems kind of like happy buzzing about all of the religious decorations that she can recognize for a holiday, although it is clearly not the same decorations on the aisle. She can recognize what it is for.
If she ever openly asks a question of like, "Ooh, what's that?" I'll just be like, "This is this part of the kingdoms."
Mm.
Tour guiding basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she would probably start opening up once she realizes that Yang would be able to provide answers and questions while the others are doing the work. But
Probably just screwing around on the mast.
so the group would go towards the former palace, which now has already had most of the tackier thin jade decorations peel off and like repurposed into that's money, you idiots. Let's use that rather than make this a terrible forest trap version of a palace. And it looks very skeletal and bare bones on the underside. Obviously, it had not been as well built as it was made to look, but it has already had several construction teams coming in to actually force the building. The crew enters in the building and would be looking around for Flowing River and the rest of the not magistrates, the ministers. Skip forward. That one. The
How many of Burr's people have set up in the city?
You recognize a fair amount of Burr's people. When you go into the main room, you notice that Burr is in the palace room, but has studiously, not only is not sitting in the chair, has removed the bootleg Five Dragon throne entirely and is just a normal table and a normal set of chairs, and is just sitting at it with a group of people around, currently in the middle of some sort of planning, probably to do with the celebrations, and looks up at the unannounced entry of the crew and just kind of raises her eyebrows. Oh, well, welcome back.
Polite bow.
She kind of nods her head back. I see you've brought new arrivals with you? if the others don't interrupt first cast, but just kind of glance back and forth and step forward and nod. Yes, my name is Furious Cascade of House Nellens, and I have been brought here to be Chancellor of this prefecture and help restore order where it was so grievously mismanaged by an errant member of our dynasty. Burr just kind of nods slightly at that. Well, I've been doing my best to keep it in one piece for you to get here, and I'm glad you're here within the season. Frankly, that was faster than I was expecting, but she just kind of moves a couple of papers aside as she stands up from her desk and stands up to walk towards the group. Not getting too close, but just kind of to approach for a more conversational distance.
Repose will wind-carried words to just whisper to Sharon that this one is an exigent.
Eyebrows raised, but she remains
And
quiet.
also, as part of that same tweet, just mentioning that she has been compliant. Or like an appropriately formal priest jargon word for this one is not a problem.
This one is in line with the faith. Yeah, she kind of tugs a little bit at clothing that is more formal than you saw her in originally, and kind of shuffles a little bit. It's like, well, I hope you didn't have too many problems on your way back. I'm welcome you officially to the Jade Orchid Prefecture, and I extend my unofficial thanks as the current regent of the region that you got here so fast, because I was beginning to lose my mind. I was never too good at managing anything other than small, like-minded groups of people. Managing a whole city was starting to drive me to my wits' end. But it was a temporary arrangement, and as it was always intended to be, and I look forward to helping the transition over to a longer-term, stable prospect. Shireen just kind of nods to her in respect. Cascade kind of nods as well, just kind of giving her a look up and down. Yes, of course, I will need assistance to settle in and get the lay of the land, and I have been made aware of the political situation of the prefecture and its outlying territories, and the unique situation that you and your village were in, and I can assure you that my intention will to not be infringe on any of the freedoms and the established boundaries that you have placed on that. And I will be viewing you as a regional partner rather than a tributary of any form. I would just like that on the table to begin with. Burr is just kind of puffed up a little bit, just pleasantly surprised to hear that so directly. Well then, shall we take a seat and talk about the ongoing festivities? Might be a good place of starting.
It is the season to renew one's confidence in one's footing,
Yeah. So Burr takes the group
to achieve stability, and from it draw new strength.
Mm-hmm. And there can be just out of character or sped up, just kind of catching up on the region. More or less what has happened.
Print news.
Yes.
Print news of Jade Orchid Prefecture is
Mash all the dialogue options. Give me everything.
seek, lest, etc. The news that, from the perspective of the Jade Orchid Prefecture, is that, first of all, the Riftwood Trading Company has been still cooperating with the new government and is seemingly a little annoyed at the loss of the under-the-table economic revenue derived from the illicit activities of Messiah, but is not raising too much of a stink about it. It's just like, oh well, there goes that. Fallen River Valley, as far
Look,
as
they're probably still going to buy some cocaine, but not nearly enough.
yeah, you cannot imagine how much that guy took and how much
Numbers
that guy
going down. I hate this.
Yes, exactly. That is the sentiment. It's just like, fine, you're still a trading partner, but this is a fucking Europa economic event for them, where their trade value is going down 50% for 10 years, and their growth.
Dynastic crisis.
Yes. As far as they know, they've had not much contact with Fallen River Valley personally. They basically sent out a couple of formal missives of like, hey, regime change, new region, who dis? And basically gotten same hat from Fallen River. And basically both have been busy enough with internal, reforms that they have not really been talking to each other too much because they are busy. Triton River Valley, from the discussions that they've had back and forth since they're much closer neighbors, and there was the whole averted war and other regime change, seems to be doing okay as far as Jade Orkin can tell. They have been still exporting food and other supplies north, and they have been getting more close economic ties with the individual villages of the River Valley rather than a centralized authority. But as far as I can tell, it seems mostly stable. There was a rumor that one of the outlying military outposts had all of its guards disappear at once, but it was kind of suppressed pretty quickly, and Repose can probably guess why. Some sort of hinterlands, unobserved, outlying military revanchists might have gotten a visit or something.
Yeah, Repose will just reassert that, yeah, he is making that area his business. For the near future. For the time being, we will be neighbors. Give it 30 years.
Yeah, and that is basically fine by me, is the sentiment. And they know jack about what has been happening on top of the cliff, because they do not have the time or the effort to reach out and diplome too much with God's Breath River or Flying River Province beyond just, again, the official missive of new regime.
Yep.
And just
That's
getting
just
back.
Inconvenient enough to talk to, that there is minimal communication.
Yep. Otherwise, it seems largely stable. Nothing overtly murderous, shenaniganous, doomoid, or any other sort of massive entire region disruption thing has been hitting this side of the fence or anywhere else that they are aware of. It just seems like they have been given time to hunker down and try to repair themselves.
But what's gone wrong, though? I'll offer up a manipulation presence here, as Repose will, as a follow-up to all of the news to... No, alright though, but seriously, complain. It is the season. Cast out your grievances. Throw them on the pile.
Alright, go ahead with the 1 dice stunt.
And we'll say that there are 2 additional successes in there from excellence, so give her a 5. I'm just kind of encouraged, like, no, really. Complain.
Not to put it into direct wording, but that gets a much more visible outpouring of like, oh my god, I am such an idiot for thinking that I could handle this long term. I really should have stayed in my own thing and maintained my own scope. I am going fucking stir crazy managing this place. I have barely kept it running together. It is, again, she is an exigent of personal freedom, and it has been stuck in a position of authority, and it has been like completely under her skin the entire time, but she made a promise and also understands the consequences of breaking that promise to a group like you and just the general health of the region, and has been managing it that way. The other major stuff that has been coming up is that there hasn't been, from your perspective, the sort of revanchist movement here as there was in Bronze Axe, as it was not exactly like, let's say, it got
Their leader was not popular.
Yeah. But there is just innate instability of a combination of a explicitly temporary transitional regime combined with the Immaculate Order settling in slightly more, combined with basically the growing knowledge of this is going to be an official realm outlying territory rather than a unofficial one by an exile. Although the like they say, like it's not going to be a direct satrapy, but you say that somebody from the realm is coming to help administrate, and it's not gonna. It's nothing
This is
you say to
now-
people that's going to actually convince them that no, this is not a first step. So there's
They've moved from a fail son treating this as his backyard to
an actual bureaucrat,
a proper
who-
noble who is taking this seriously.
and so there is a fair number of people grumbling and or quite worried about what that might lead to. For her perspective, Burr's perspective is like, I mean, I'm also kind of like on their side, but I'm not going to say that too loudly in front of them.
All right. Does anyone else on the advanced team have any probing they'd like
Was
to do?
any of the letters Angler gave to Milan for anyone in Jade Orchid?
Yeah, actually, Angler, you there?
So I would put forth as a dramatic conceit that if anyone who's not on the advanced team has stuff they want to do or ask, it can just retroactively be in the mailbag to deliver to people.
The mailbag. So yeah, who primarily was the mailbag for, Chrome?
Koi, and then also the lunar solar pair.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, that would not be in the mailbag for this. So
Yeah.
Oh, and then probably a very brief thing to Burr saying, trust her. She might be from the island, but she's good people.
yeah, and she would take that and just kind of be like, yeah, of course, but appreciates the gesture. And after talking with Cascade for, a couple of hours, and yeah, like just especially because I will just read off the sheet. Cascade has socialized 4 with a specialty of I am so tired of island politics. It would be very abundant very quickly that, actually, we actually share quite a few opinions about the realm. You seem cool. So there's a visible kind of tension deflation as Cascade and Burr talk of like, we may disagree with each other and may have our own personal pain points with each other, but like I can trust you to run to this place, and I can trust you on the other side of the border to not be a huge pain.
This can work.
Yeah, it'll work out, even if it is not perfect from either of our perspectives. But fishing for perfection out here is a sucker. So, otherwise, there is the other thing in the palace to do.
Introduce Sharin to Flowing River.
Yes, and that I won't have that be a full scene, so I'm not having two NPCs talk to each other for the primary part of it. I don't think.
Yeah, we can just
We
brush
can
over
get
that.
the details of that later.
The general gist of that is that Shireen is happy to meet somebody who seems to be of a more openly accepting and inquisitive version of the more openly inquisitive version of the Immaculate Order. Just kind of immediately circling around each other to kind of suss each other's theological feelings out, and Floating River pretty quickly seems to pick up without Repose having to coach,
Propose will
the-
only partake in the introductions if invited. He is otherwise a neutral observer.
Yeah, and the Flowing River would, involve you in the conversation because he trusts you fairly much at this point. But in general, they seem to be hitting off with each other well. They seem to be understanding each other pretty well, and Repose feels confident with leaving Shireen here, and that it will go pretty well for both of them. And there is kind of how to put this. There is a kind of moment of hesitation of when you are leaving. She doesn't quite look like she knows whether she wants to go back out with you or stay here, but eventually just lets you go.
Repose will leave behind a freshly carved Lucky Cat figurine.
That does give her some tears in her eyes when she accepts that. But otherwise,
No.
All right. Did Repose want to go home, or was there anywhere else you wanted to stop?
well, there is one location. There is the letter for Koi, so
Mhm.
that's one location.
Mm-hmm.
And there is Trident River Valley if you wanted to poke in on that. I know, although Obsidian wanted to have both of them present for the full resolution of the
Alright.
issue.
So I feel like the workflow that works here is go up, drop Repose at Trident River to start
Yep.
working with his local assets, and then Milan can carry on to go visit Koi, and then come back and retrieve Repose afterwards, and then we go to Vigil Town.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Okay, so
Get as much of this happening in parallel as we can for our immediate catch-up.
Alright, so Repose is brought up to Trident River Valley. In 3 months' time, there has been a rather impressive amount of tear down and rebuild up. The longer term stuff like bigger stone buildings is much longer term project, but like the more temporary structures of fortifications or wooden buildings or smaller stone buildings have been fairly heavily adjusted by the plans requested, and the other stuff is just kind of proceeding apace. The individual villages as well, when you did the flyovers, seem to be doing pretty well. The harvests seem to all be growing quite well this year in the Trident River Valley area. It seems quite luckily that the presence of blood was not an active descent.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me, on the fly up here, we probably would have tried to pass by the wound
Oh, the wound.
and see if that is surviving.
There is some repair, a little. That's
If
going to
the one tree is still hanging on and keeping up the good fight, that is enough of a sign that life will find a way.
It's alive, and that's about all you can ask for.
It's doing its best.
That is going to be a very long-term healing project for just letting the natural processes do it.
Leave like a reminder on the map here.
But yeah, the harvests and it seems that bloods rampaging through the local ley lines and geomancy had been mostly restricted to not the territory of the Bronze Axe, as whatever else could be said about him, he probably realized that letting his own supply chain get eaten was not a great idea when he still had more control over it than it had over him.
Mm-hmm.
And then
So Propose will like drop into town, make a good public visual showing of his first action on returning to the area being to walk up to the palace ruins and just take a big ol' swipe out of the wall, spend a while muttering and cursing in a I'm acting like you're not supposed to hear what I'm saying, but I know I'm loud enough that you can all hear, because alright, it is time to grieve. It is time to grievance. It is time to argue. Carry on with that earth and sense of, alright, everything that you normally leave firmly in place, this is your one chance to pick it up and shift it into the place you would rather it be for the next year. Time for re-examining and reassuring and so forth. So just while he's here, he is going to be taking advantage of that practice he did in acting more relaxed and conversational, and wearing a bit of that attitude as he gets updates from the converts who are overseeing the rebuilding here.
okay, so while that is happening, and hey, Milan, you're alone on that cloud now.
Yes, I am.
You have no sense of direction.
That's fine.
Roll
Yang's
me.
up here. Yang's up here with me because
Yeah,
we
Right,
established
it's
Yang
still
came
up
with
there.
me.
Okay.
Also, there is this giant straight line on the ground.
Yeah,
We also have established that Milan could in fact get lost in the straight line.
I have a
It's possible.
compass and map.
Okay. But yeah, with compass, map, line, and yang, I won't make you.
All right. What time of day do I arrive over at Koi?
Probably late afternoon, but that was the quick aside I was gonna have is the roll to see how that was gonna work. But for now, I'm gonna be going back to Repose for a sec.
Okay.
So Repose is interrogating people for what has been going on in his absence. The ropeway between Godsbreath River and the Bronze Axe has gotten a little bit of traffic, not much, but like enough people have been giving it a shot who are interested in going back and forth between to establish that, okay, it won't kill you. It is, in fact, secure enough of a transit point that it won't break out under your feet and kill you. So there has been a little bit of diplomatic back and forth on that. The major source of rumors and discussion as of late, as may not be surprising, is there have been some disappearances, and then there was a series of arrests of. At first, it was primarily people in the military, and then it branched out to several people in the rest of society, usually formerly high placed in businesses or other administrative functions under former Bronze Axe government. They are currently all being held in the main prison center of the former palatial complex. And the initial spat of disappearances and then arrests had been heralded by, again, the mention of the rumor of an entire military outpost just going dark. And then when people found it, well, it takes you quite a bit of wheedling to get out what happened, but it seems like everybody there was pretty efficiently dispatched. There was not a whole lot of brutality, just a lot of very methodical ending of life.
And that is news that I will offer up as some dice to attempt to dig deeper for information and start to get the wheels spinning. Manipulation war to Repose is naturally holding back the things he knows about what's really going on, but he'll be asking all throughout receiving this briefing various pointed questions to maintain a hold on the narrative of the conversation and keep steering it in the direction of threat assessments about his targets, while also kind of dressing it up as he's going to treat that incident as though it were a proper incident, even though he already knows the answer. It's good practice.
Out of character, what was the exact thing we heard from Sybil? Or Guan?
That there had been some people who were planning on basically restarting a resistance movement to reimpose the way things were under the Bronze Axe, and Guan had taken it into his own personal liberty to murder several of them without asking, but then had asked, do you want to make this a more public thing, or do you want to handle this yourself?
Okay.
The message was sent shortly after, presumably, Guan went into that fort and killed everyone in it like a hitman level.
As you do. So, and those 6s explode. Because War Excellency. 7.
Alright,
So yeah, Repose goes through all the motions and formalities that you should for appraising this incident. He is an exorcist, and it is his job to be able to rapidly diagnose what kind of bad stuff caused a bunch of people to suddenly die, and whether or not they deserved it.
Yep. The base, is this a role to establish a narrative or to get...
To, combination, dig deeper on the briefing to get details, and start thinking about how he is going to manage these prisoners. Get them all, categorized. He wants to profile the folks who were joining this faction and get a preliminary sense of who he's going to be dealing with.
So the general consensus of the people in the region, after the pattern began to emerge of the disappearances, was that they had all the people most directly involved were the military elements of the Bronze Axe that had been enthusiastic about being the jackboot. And when all of them started mysteriously showing up with a case of the dead, people were just kind of going, well, that's a curse. That's a curse, that is. That's vengeance. That's people getting what come to them. Then, when the mass arrests happened, they had been under the impression that it was your doing. But their assumption of that had been effectively, well, okay, if the curse is not getting all of them, then maybe they squealed to the god that was enacting this vengeance, and then they all got roped in to be not worthy of murdering, but possibly worthy of being put in jail, and then they figured that you were going to be the one handling that. In effect, they have decided as a community that this is just the gods going. This is the gods and your domain doing what it do, and let us not poke too deeply into this lest we get involved in things that are above our ability to directly interface with without the intermediary of priests, because the last time that happened, it went badly.
And that is good and proper. Alright, so I suppose, yeah, preliminary reaction to provide to that is Repose will put forward as in order to his people here, and then also very loudly and theatrically make as a public announcement to the prisoners out in the yard that in recognition of their rights as soldiers.
Not all of them were soldiers, but a good chunk of them. As mentioned, there were some elements of civil society that got caught up in the snare.
Repose is speaking, everyone is soldiers. There are soldiers and there are deserters.
Yeah, I know.
He won't make any statements yet as to their eventual fate, but he will put forth in an appropriately backhanded way a reminder that as soldiers, they live as one and die as one. You live for the person on your left, you die for the person on your right. That is how you survive as a formation, as a unit, as a people. If any one of them attempts escape, they will all be put to death. And this is openly said at all of them. If any one of you breaks ranks and flees, you will all perish.
There's just kind of an unsettled ripple across the crowd, but no pushback.
And now they will all keep each other inside the fence, because none of them will be able to trust. There will only be an escape if they all agree to do it at exactly the same time, under the same leadership, and those stars are not going to align in the couple of weeks it will take to get out of here. This also begins laying groundwork for the mind space you would like them to be in, for the trials. Or I suppose as well. So there's going to be some material preparations to go on here. So I will just kind of describe out here at narrative layer my idea for what should be done with the prisoners here. The trials will be putting this entire collection of people through some iterated prisoners' dilemmas. such that if they can all demonstrate and act on that they are able to cooperate with other people, they can all get out of this paying some minimal but very tangible price. Like, they're going to end up branded or down half a hand or some other brutal but moderated physical punishment that leaves them permanently marked as having done this. But there's going to be room in the technicalities and edges of the rules to betray and destroy other people, to try and get yourself out of a jam. And if any of them take those, things will rapidly spiral out of control.
As an aside, out of character, because myself and Loon have talked about this. Obsidian is more or less fine with this, as long as we make sure that none of the people that were arrested were of the people of the army that were actually good and were just part of the army out of a bad situation. Because again, Obsidian walked into that fort and gave them all a lecture and told them, hey, you were lucky this time because you ran into me.
Yeah.
Next time. The long and short of it is, they have fucked around. So
Hey,
now...
next time.
The ascended layer beyond this is, of course, that all of the rules of the trials are lies and pageantry to see which pockets of decent people will form and look out for each other, and which rats will bite each other's throats out in a desperate bid to survive. And that is the real judgment that will be passed.
Mhm.
The repose will just kind of lay some preliminary written groundwork for the games that will be prepared. Where there may also be, a bit of a public viewing and spectacle element of this for morale of the community.
KI Corporation, fucking.
I have my team of interchangeable gray shirts.
Okay.
Have you not realized where Repose is going character?
I just didn't think we would
An
replicate
organized
the death
criminal
game
this
part.
whole time.
You know?
To be fair, we're replicating the death game part, but with only fucking actual shitty
Yeah,
people.
instead of just debtors, it's,
Yeah,
Instead of debtors, it's
criminals. But like the non-redeemable kind of criminals, because again, we gave them a second chance.
And the other layer of fallback is that, if they all try to decide that this is absurd and refuse to do it, well, we'll just proceed with the executions then. You can take your one chance at winning your freedom, or I'll just decide to put you in the ground. But the details of that will play out later. For now, I will just kind of offer up a int bureaucracy, I suppose. Or let's make it an int war. This is about strategery. Okay, yeah, we've designed some diabolical... The scoring system is built to, kind of separate people into layers of what level they want to engage the game at, and depending on how deep you go into the layers of the meta, you see more and more temptations to do evil that distract you from the golden path of let's just all cooperate and walk out of here alive. The scoring system has been very intricately built to lure people into traps. The more devious and rat-like they are, the more that it has been social engineered to just grab them by the root brain and lure them.
You have designed a mousetrap for narcissists.
It will be time for Liar Game in a month. Alright, that's my business there.
Alright. Meanwhile, back over in the Flying River Province, Yang and Milan will be settling down outside of Koi's tower at about mid to late afternoon.
Wizards.
What are we doing
Alright.
here?
Dropping off a letter from Angler.
All right.
Knock on the door.
Yeah,
Dan
come in.
curled up, half asleep in the back seat of the tornado.
Enter. Announce myself. Koi, it is Milan.
Ah, yeah, come in. It's been a while.
Yes, whole season, I imagine.
I suppose it has been.
How have things been?
Oh, personally, regionally, what are you asking? She seems like she's waking up from the middle of a nap, actually.
I seem to be catching you at an opportune moment.
It's fine. It's fine. I was gonna be getting up anyway soon. Come on in.
All
Oh
right.
yeah.
First one, then the other. How are you?
Well, I had a bit of a setback on one of my projects, but it was dealt with. No collateral, no long-term damage, just an annoyance.
Oh, good to hear. Good to hear.
As for the region, as far as I can tell, everything has been mostly in the places that you all left it, which has me cranky and upset. As while you were here, things would not stop blowing up. And the moment you left, things settled down.
Yeah, weird that.
Yeah, that's basically what Milan says.
Now, I don't know if it's because of our good friends from below not knowing you weren't here, or deciding to shift tacks once they knew that you were elsewhere. But I have been keeping my ear to the ground to see if they were been up to anything, and I have heard exactly jack and squat.
Well, no news is often good news.
Or worst news.
Yeah, I couldn't say that with a straight face either.
Believe me, she says, kind of hobbling down the stairs with her cane and sitting down in her plush chair. When you're as old as I am, and you're a sorceress like I am, and you look for information and you get nothing, not just little information, nothing, that's the worst case scenario. That means something is actively hiding. They went aground after you dealt with them at Bronze Axe. They haven't come up for air yet. I don't know what they've been up to. Clearly, you punched him in the nose hard enough to make him realize that they couldn't be dancing around in the broad daylight anymore.
Well, I can hope that we've only bought ourselves some time to disappear for a season. Oh, that reminds me. I'm also here on delivery. I have a letter from you from my brother, Angler.
Oh, really? Hand it over.
Pass off?
She opens it up. What does it say?
Sorry. It would be mostly asking the usual, like, if it's anything happening around here, and also a very detailed letter that I haven't written yet, saying, please treat Milan with respect as he sometimes gets in over his head when he's trying to learn new stuff and help him out.
Didn't need to let her figure that one out. She says that she kind of tosses it to the side on the table.
Milan, already helping himself to some tea, sort of catches himself going, what was in that letter?
Oh, it was your brother looking out for you.
What did he say? I say quietly to myself.
She picks up the letter and hands it back to you with a smile on her face.
Oh, Angler. Yeah, that's my brother. That's my brother.
And he's not wrong.
It, sips the tea.
How have you been holding up?
It's been a little stressful.
You went back to the Isle. I'm gonna ask you to be a little more honest than a little stressful, because if that's your metric, then fighting an elemental dragon is going to be a little worrying.
Well, so my grandmother is one of the possible folks in line for the throne if her redness is truly gone.
All right, put the tea down. How much brandy you want?
Fill her up.
Pulls a flask out of her vest and just pours it up to the brim of the glass and hands it to you.
Deep sip. Deeper
Wow,
sip.
that's got a. Oh God! Oh wow! Oh.
Strong coughing.
Meanwhile, she's just taking back a belt without even flinching.
Wizards.
There's something else.
Of course there is.
Obsidian, my brother, his father got knowledge of us that should not have left the realm. He somehow knew about all of our little secrets, Sifu's secrets.
She like is in the middle of corking the bottle. When you mention specifically old man's secrets, pulls the cork back out, tips the flask up, and just starts draining while twirling her free hand for you to go on while she is drinking nonstop, head towards the ceiling.
At this, I go into explaining the whole situation with Catholic dad and the duel.
A good 20 seconds of chugging later, she just kind of throws the empty flask over her shoulder.
And the problem is we don't know where that information came from.
I've got a couple of guesses, and none of them are ones you're gonna like, because I certainly don't like them either.
I got a few too.
One thing I can probably rule out is it's probably not our friend from below, because, well, Blessed Isle's more locked up to ghosts than whatever filthy metaphor you want to put here. But plenty of sorcerers. Might have had a demon summoning for a conduit of information. Don't know about that. Could have been more lofty transfer of information. Really don't want to think about that.
We have the remains of a letter, but it was burned before we could view it.
Really now.
And I'm sure Milan actually took the letter with him because he was going to go
It'd be in a
someplace.
file. She picks it up, takes a look at it. Oh, ain't shit I can do with this. Hands it back over.
Out of character? No. That is on Obsidian's person, and he has plans for it.
Okay.
He probably
In
would
that-
not
in
have
that
handed it
case-
to you.
In that
Okay,
case,
then
that was
she
not
would.
presented.
Okay, so she would not have had the vial, but she said she would have asked, okay, how burned? Like ashes, thin ashes?
Mostly ashes, tiny scraps,
That'd be
barely
too far,
legible
gone.
letters.
Too far gone for me then.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Kind of leans back and thinks to herself for a second. Now, ain't that interesting, though? That right as things go quiet around here, somebody on the Isle gets to happen to know all your dirty secrets and prepare while you're going over.
It almost seems like it's not this area is the target, it's us. But why?
You've certainly made a very loud name for yourselves. Certainly have toppled 3 governments.
Hey, I made Quicksilver Moon by accident earlier today.
Right?
Like, it's some weird shit.
No, like she actually like throws a hand towards Yang and looks towards Milan. No.
I
You
will, I
think
will
it's Moon
quietly. No,
do you
it's
think?
Moon. No, it's Moon Silver. Repose confirmed it. 2 other people confirmed it.
There was an eclipse.
I manufactured
There
an
was, okay,
eclipse.
there was not a full eclipse. It
Oh, there
was
was not?
the
Okay.
daytime moon in the sky had
Yeah, I'll
slightly
just-
moved.
Okay.
I'll recount the exact steps that I did, just like I'm fucking a robot, basically.
About the time that you mentioned invoking Saturn, her eyes literally
Jupiter.
cross. Yeah, Jupiter. Her eyes literally cross as she gets up, hobbles over to one of the wall cabinets, opens it up. There are grand ornate glass bottles of all sorts, and she pulls one out and just starts draining it as she walks back over to the chair.
Oh no.
Pops a cork back on, puts it on the table. I'll be entirely honest with you, I have no idea how the fuck that worked.
Yeah, that's about where I'm at too. I'm not gonna think about it.
Good. That was going to be my suggestion, was never do it again.
Oh yeah, no. I just thought it was neat and interesting, and you would like to know this.
I'm more burdened by knowing this, but thank you. I appreciate the thought.
The absentee
yeah.
repose addendum to this is, yeah, and that's how Moon works.
It's I don't know. It's just one of those things that's like neat, but also I'm mortified personally, and I feel like you'd get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that much.
You ever fuck around and find out a little too hard?
Ha ha ha!
Mhm.
Just kind of shifts in her seat before looking back over to Milan. Still thinking about specifically knew how much. Like you would have said that, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, the exact scientific quantities.
The exact statement.
how in the who? What? No one would. No one would.
Though didn't Kargath call him a
Abomination.
well, an abomination, but also like didn't you like specifically say a soul in a corpse's body or something
Yeah,
to
he
that effect?
specifically
Which
called
is
out.
factually not correct. But anyway,
As an aside, for clarification for me, how is that not correct? I thought that was
old
exactly.
man's
it.
alive. He's not in a corpse.
But he is in
It was a corpse until the soul got shoved back in.
And
He
then
used
it
to be a
ceased to be a corpse. He was resuscitated.
I guess if
In a
you're
really weird roundabout way.
if you're working technicalities on phrasing in that, yes, that wasn't 100% correct, but it's still a soul that was in a corpse.
I don't think Catholic Karagak could
Yeah.
know the difference.
Karagath is not a scholar of the technicalities of death.
Karagath is not a mortician, no. But Koi is thinking, the only people who would have known that are you, the other 4 of you, and me. I didn't say shit to nobody, and I'm willing to bet my left leg on it.
And that could leave one last possible person.
Oak lives!
Someone whose domain deals in secrets.
Can I have some of the incident wine?
Slides the bottle over.
Thank you.
It's more than one.
More than one?
Near as I see it, there's 3. Holds up her hand, first finger. Purple figure in the flashbacks. Second finger. Oak wasn't destroyed. Third finger. By talking to Oak, Tyrant figured out what was going on. Of those, like I said, the realm is pretty much locked up to dead people, which leaves one.
Oh. Unless Tyrant is stupid, or I doubt it's him.
Do you have your affairs in order?
Yes.
How about you? She looks over to Yang.
Sana?
I stepped away.
Okay.
Yang would probably give a non sequitur to that, what affairs or whatever. But just the sentiment she has is just
Wine
Oh,
noises.
of just. Uh, there is a very short list of what that figure in the flashback could be. Some of them are better from you, and some of them are not as good for you. None of them are actually good for you. I'm going to have to personally consult a few things. But in the meantime, I would be particularly careful with anything risky. Like, don't take up any skydiving habits.
Very out of character. This next scene is going to be great.
Good.
Okay, continue.
That's honestly mostly what she was
Yeah.
going to say.
And Milan, half through the brandy, is going to say, I won't take any. We'll promise not to take any risky actions, but if there is a read intention, there's a
You would probably phrase it as unnecessary risk.
Yeah,
and have a
unnecessary
lot
risk.
of weight on the word unnecessary.
Doing a lot of work there.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, otherwise, that is mostly Koi's update of it. It has been entirely too damn quiet, and it has been unsettling me, and what you just told me is making me think things I really don't want to think.
At that point, there is probably just more polite conversation, and then wrapping up Koi.
Yeah, just catching up on each other's other stuff.
Talking
You
about demonology, what I've studied and researched.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Propose wouldn't be expecting you back until at least the next day, so you have conversation time.
Yep. And it's probably going to grab a spot to rest in town, at like an inn or something.
Okay. Can I ask what your idea of the next scene was?
Yes, in the middle of the night.
Okay.
Milan is going to put his robes on, grab that letter I had mentioned he was writing during the Moon Silver time, and then go for a walk and deliberately get lost.
All right. What's your goal?
And Milan's just going to drop a letter, not addressed to anyone, but sealed with a dyed purple wax seal.
Hmm.
And I have the
And-
contents of the letter to be read out of character just so everyone
Alright.
can know what Milan's doing.
All right. Go on.
I hope this letter finds you in health. I have been away for a season, as matters back home have come and passed. I have no doubt you are aware of this, nor do I hold any doubt that you know we have returned. Last we met, there was some friction between my hearth and you. Whatever plans or designs you had for... I'm sorry, the title of the religious guy I styled on.
The Inquisitor.
No doubt, whatever plans or designs you had for the Inquisitor, we were not privy to. We held no knowledge or whatever designs you held for him or the kingdom, nor at this moment do we care to know. Our actions against him were our own. This matter was not personal. While we were visiting my home, the father of one of my hearthmates was made privy to matters unknown to him. Such knowledge can not be found anywhere on the isle, so it must have had to have come from somewhere in the kingdoms. We don't know where this knowledge came from, but we know this. It was a personal matter. If you did not provide Catholic this information, then there's no harm. But if such knowledge of our hearth came to Catholic from you, know this. Such actions were petty and disgraceful. An attack on us while we were dealing with matters personal will not be taken in stride. In the past, you have shown us courtesy, of which I am grateful. I hope bygones can be bygones, and in the future, I pray that you are more forthcoming so that no further toes may be stepped on beneath Milan.
All right. You drop the letter on the ground and continue your wandering.
Schemes.
You're solidly lost for a good 2 hours before you find your way back.
Eventually, I just use the birds and take me to Yang.
Yep.
Down in one of my morning constitutionals, you just wander around the fucking bushes.
This is going to probably be the last roll of the night, in case, depending on how this goes.
And that was my thought of, okay, if this was purple, I'm going to write a letter to Purple, letting them know, hey,
You a bitch.
that was kind of shitty.
When your birds all flock back into the inn and just dive back into each other, there is a Rhyton perched on the windowsill, not even bothering to hide that, hey, no, this is not a normal bird. This is very clearly just watching you with intent.
Bird up.
I'm going to open the bag, grab the letter addressed to Sybil and Guan, and stick it in the Rhyton's mouth.
Kind of scrabbles at it with its claws and actively unrolls it to read in front of you. So, Angler. Crumb, you there?
I'm here, yes.
Bird is reading letter. What is in letter to Sybil and Guan?
The Isle is the Isle. I need to talk to you. Specifically, Sun Guan. Forgot his name off the top of my head.
Sun Guan, yeah.
Yeah. And then
There-
leaving like a specific time that he'd like to, like when he would roughly arrive and all that fun stuff.
There is a slightly dismissive snort from the Rhyton before it kind of rolls the paper back up and puts it back in its mouth with a little bit of a muffled squawk. And then it tilts its head to Milan as if questioning, okay, you got anything personally?
I've reached out to our mutual friend.
Slow reptilian blink.
I just hope the matters aren't as personal as I fear.
Quicksilver by accident. Son, I made Moon Quicksilver by accident.
There is the bird's head very, very slowly turns towards the sleepy voice of Yang. One eye blinks, the other eye blinks.
Fucked up
Somewhere-
so bad, dude.
Somewhere there is a solar who is cackling.
Fucked up so bad, dude.
Drops the letter out of its mouth, unrolls it to the clean side on the back, and kind of taps the paper and holds up a claw in the position of a quill, and then tilts its head towards friggin' Milan.
Hi, hello.
Bird has tapped paper, held claw up like quill, and is now looking at you.
All right, present paper.
No, it has already had the paper on the ground.
Oh, present ink.
Yeah, it snatches it with the foreclaw of I'm gonna let this one actually sit this time. Bird snatches the inkwell out with one foreclaw, puts it on the ground, dips the claw into the inkwell, and then starts scratching out a very kind of erratic script. Like, it is very clearly Bird is being piloted to write this out before stepping back, and on the paper is just 3 words. What the fuck?
Right? I say to this bird.
I give a super condensed version that leaves in the important parts, but is, yangfully just like. And then I twizzled the toodle, and then the thing came out.
Dips claw into ink, sits and thinks for a good 5-10 seconds before putting claw back to paper. And then it doodles out a very rough drawing. And it is just tracing quickly out the sketches of 2 humanoid figures. And as the details are filling in, one looks like Guan. It has beard and longer hair, leaning over, clutching its head in both hands. And behind him, on the ground, rolled up in a ball laughing, looks like Sybil.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck either, man.
The bird rolls up the paper, puts it back in its mouth, hops back to the windowsill, gives a final look back, and then sails off into the night.
Bird up.
Next time, landing in the 100 Kingdoms properly. Birthday observations, catching
We're
up with the
back.
lore further, possibly
Treasure.
death hits, and adventure.
Wait.
Huzzah!
Next time.